you've been covering extensively the Cori Bush and Wesley Bell contest here. This isn't just about whether you like Wesley or Cori better. This is a directional vote that's going to tell us a lot, I think, and you tell me if I'm wrong, that it's going to tell us a lot about where the Democratic voters and Democratic Party of this region is going to go over the next several years.
This is one of the biggest issues in the United States, in my opinion. Cori Bush is endorsed by the Democratic Socialists of America. And the socialists have been really in a wave and a romp all across this country with victories in New York, 3 congressional seats they picked up there, Colorado, Michigan. And so they've got a governor, I think, running a socialist candidate for governor who's leading that Democratic race in Wisconsin and D.C. And so they're making substantial gains. And so St. Louis could be the Waterloo for the socialists. At least it could slow down the momentum. But for Wesley Bell, it means that he has to pull out all the stops because at issue here is the very heart of the party. Which direction, what kind of party is the Democratic Party going to be? Is it going to be the Democratic Socialist Party? Is that where it's headed? Because these socialists really have a lot of momentum, and obviously that bodes well for Cori Bush. But one of the major issues in this is Israel, support for Israel. Cori Bush, of course, dead set against military aid for Israel. Wesley Bell has been a staunch supporter of Israel, which means that Wesley Bell has to get out a lot of his Jewish supporters to help pull this one off.
Yeah,
so he's in a race.
Yeah, here's what's interesting on that. Aside from the Middle Eastern stuff, because Cori Bush has stood with some really fringe, literally like pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist people on there. So other than that issue, when you look at the basic votes, I don't know that you're going to get a very different vote from Wesley Bell and Cori Bush on most of the stuff they're going to deal with. But even given that, you've got differences in how much can they work with the rest of Congress and bring things back to St. Louis? And then again, what kind of image, what kind of direction will they set for the other Democrats here in the St. Louis area?
Well, I don't know if it's that complicated. To me, it comes down to the kind of, it's odd, but let's call Wesley Bell a more traditional candidate. I mean, he's leftist, but he's less leftist than the socialists are. So I think that the big thing this country is grappling with now, which direction is it going to go in? Are we going to go in a socialist communist direction? Or just a Democrat, obviously the usual Democrat, Republican, whatever. You've seen some Democratic leftists, but that is the major issue, and that could be very significant. Obviously, in the years to come, what kind of country are we going to have in the years ahead? And so that's what I see in this whole deal. Cori Bush, if she gets there, she will have a lot more socialist company in Congress. I mean, we could have 5 socialist representatives. They could be in a position where they can influence national policy. And if you read the manifesto, and I'm not going to harp on this very much, but if you read the manifesto of the Democratic Socialists of America, it's more like a communist manifesto. So that's a real concern. We shall see how that turns out.
Yeah, we're visiting with the great Elliot Davis right here. So let's talk about another race here in the area. Again, let's stay with the Democrats. You've been working to interview all of the main candidates, the key players in the race for county executive. Obviously, the Republicans only have one candidate. So whoever wins the Democratic race, for those who haven't been following her, they're going to face Dennis Hancock in that race. But you, and I know there were some forums, I think it was at your church, that you were posting about. What do you make of this race? Because in St. Louis County, this is I would call it a blue county, but I would call it maybe a lighter blue county. But this is one of those where the Democrat, I would think, would be the favorite going in, but it's not a shoe-in. So what are the Democratic voters in St. Louis County weighing when they decide who's going to face off against Dennis Hancock?
Okay, St. Louis County is a blue county, any way you cut it. Hancock is going to have could he win? Possibly, but it is more likely that whoever wins the Democratic primary will go away with this thing. There is a poll out today on this race. It has taken some twists and turns. I know State Senator Brian Williams was just the odds-on favorite from the very beginning. He was going to oppose Sam Page. Sam Page said he wasn't going to run for re-election. When that happened, then Jake Zimmerman, the St. Louis County assessor, jumped in the race. But still, it looked like Brian Williams was the odds-on favorite. He was the better favorite. Odds makers were giving him the odds of winning this thing. But what happened was Angela Walton Mosby, another African-American, got in the race. She's from North County as well. That cut into Brian Williams' support. And so that evened out this race. There is a poll that's out today. I'm getting my notes here. Anyway, there is a poll out today in that particular race, and the race actually shows Jake Zimmerman ahead in a shocker. But the interesting part on that is that the poll was commissioned by, this is in St. Louis Magazine, that has published this poll. The poll shows that, let's say, has Jake Zimmerman leading by 28%, Brian Williams 19%, Angela Mosley at 10%, but the poll was commissioned by Jake Zimmerman.
Of course, yeah.
And Brian Williams says he has a campaign too. Brian Williams says he has his own poll that shows him ahead. But the dynamics of this race really has changed since Angela Walton Mosley got in that race. It seemed, and then it's been really interesting. The things that have happened. Brian Williams supporters on the county council actually tried to raise the pay for county executive. Remember, Sam Page not running. They tried to raise the pay for the county executive, $55,000 in the midst of a crisis, in the midst of a financial crisis. His buddies on the county council, Rita Days and Shalonda Webb, helped to pass a legislation to raise the pay for county executive for like $55,000. Boosting the pay up from $140,000 to $195,000. That actually passed due to a loophole in the St. Louis County charter. Sam Page was able to veto it. They didn't get it, so that raise won't happen. But what they are doing, they're not giving up on giving their buddies raises. What happened is that, so now they're putting a measure on the ballot called Proposition C, asking voters to give them the power to be able to give the raises to their buddies. So when you see Proposition C on the ballot, St. Louis County voters, you'll know it's a deal that they are using to try to get voters to give them the power to do what they couldn't do, the power to give big raises to their buddies. So a lot of changes going on in St. Louis County.
Yeah, and the way that that's worded on the ballot's very strange. It talks about correcting mistakes and all that kind of stuff, so it's very convoluted for that proposition as well. Okay, so just a couple minutes left here visiting with Elliot Davis. You just posted on this. We talked about this a little bit earlier today as well, is that in St. Charles County, one of the driving factors, one of the driving debates has been over property taxes. I mean, there's other issues, big issues as well, and then the county council, it turns out this week, votes to zero out their part of the property tax bill from the county government. That's a small part of it. It's about $3.4 million, something like that. But what's interesting is that there was a fight over whether or not any or all of that property tax bill could be zeroed out. I mean, Bill Eigel driving that issue more so than the others. But does that tell you anything about the county council doing that part of it? And it's a small part of the bill, but it's still, I think, a significant development.
Symbolic, yeah. It tells you that the county council would rather have Steve EHLMANN as the county executive, because that's not the only issue that they've really taken off the table that's Eigel was pushing. Former State Senator Bill Eigel, who of course ran for governor and lost, although he did pretty good in that governor's race, he still lost it. And one of his big issues was getting rid of the personal property taxes. And so I remember Steve EHLMANN had decided not to run. He's been a 20-year incumbent, decided not to run. Again, in 2023, I think he announced that he was not going to run. Eigel got in the race. EHLMANN fears the impact of Eigel. He fears that a lot of what he's accomplished with population increases, housing increases, and low crime in St. Charles County. He figures that will become undone by Eigel, and so he got back in the race. And so the council, what they have done is taken a lot of the Eigel campaign issues off the table. For example, property taxes, they zeroed that out. The data center issues, they took that off the table with a moratorium on that. Then Eigel was making a big issue out of too many new apartments coming to St. Charles County. Well, what did the council do? They passed a moratorium on new housing expansion, a 6-month moratorium on new apartment developments. And so what they are doing, really, they're doing everything they can to help EHLMANN in this election. And I think the council is showing who they support, who they want as county executive, because every time Eigel comes up with an issue, they pass an ordinance to get that off the to get rid of that issue, to take it off the table. And that's exactly what they've been doing.
All right, Elliot Davis. Of course, you can check out the best way, I would say, Elliot, your Facebook page, right? Elliot Davis TV. Is that the way to follow and be in touch with you?
It is. We have we're now up to about 217,000 followers. So we have been pretty active, and obviously pretty active in this election as well. It gives, between that, the amendments, we're not going to go into all the amendments, but I will tell St. Louis County voters, if you see Prop C, it's designed to give the St. Louis County Council the ability to be able to give raises to their budget. I've never seen anything so blatant, so blatantly political, and such a blatant waste of taxpayers' money at a time when the council is saying we're broke. They're saying if we don't pass Proposition U, the use tax deal, then we're going to have to lay off people and do all kinds of stuff, right? But Prop C is just a way to give them the power to be able to raise salaries for their buddies.
Okay, we still have fallout that's happening from that Fauci hearing earlier this week. We're going to dig into some of that, but also Flashback Friday and get to hear what you all requested. So I'll just say in advance, thank you for all of those. This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
We know what's going on.
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke.
News Talk STL.
Until it's not.
News, analysis, opinion.
When decisions matter most, experience isn't optional. As a former SWAT commander, Tim Whitney has led Under Pressure. Today, as Undersheriff and Chief Financial Officer, he helps lead hundreds of employees, manages one of the county's largest budgets, and protects taxpayers with conservative accountability.
I'm Tim Whitney, and I'd be honored to earn your vote. Together, we can support responsible growth, strengthen public safety, protect taxpayers, and preserve the character that makes Jefferson County home.
Paid for by friends of Tim Whitney. Heather Missy, Treasurer.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. That's old news. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, you now have tons of options. Save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect. We scan your location and offer you the best TV and internet options. And we always have specials and promotions. So when you call, ask about that. Take 5 minutes of your time, make this free call now, and learn how to save money and get better internet and TV for your home anywhere in the U.S. Make the simple and free call now.
800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. That's 800-257-1632.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Steve EHLMANN leads. EHLMANN enacted a data center moratorium. He doubled our parkland, built new roads, prioritized safe schools and streets, eliminated the county's real property tax. EHLMANN for St. Charles County. Bill Eigel misleads. Eigel talks but didn't pay his property taxes, but voted to give tax credits to the company behind the St. Charles data center, and was rebuked by Trump's lawyer for scamming donors.
Paid for by the committee to elect Steve EHLMANN, Michael Summer Jr., Treasurer.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next-door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
You know, I don't get surprised by a lot of news. Every once in a while, something catches you off guard. I'm not surprised by a lot of things in the news after all these years. But, Susie, I was a little bit surprised by some news that hit yesterday evening.
What was that?
Yeah, I'll get to that in just a moment. The guy who literally flipped off the people he's supposed to be serving is back in St. Louis. So
Charming.
We'll get to that in just a moment. Yeah, and what timing, as a matter of fact. What timing on all that. All right, 5:52 right now. So here we are, last minute campaigns.
Yes.
I'm getting something in the mail every day.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all the same. It's all 4 and 5.
Right.
And I am getting more on 5, both sides, than I am anything else. But I'm getting some things on 4. What are you getting?
I haven't gotten a lot. I've
Really?
gotten more candidate stuff.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think the last time I got one on either of the amendments.
I think maybe that's going to be different in your
Might be because I'm
your
St. Charles
area
County.
because you're St. Charles County, and
I'm considered safe.
yeah, exactly. And so I'm in a deep blue. My address is in a deep blue area, and
Right.
so it's kind of one of those Republicans need not apply area.
Yeah.
And so I'm not getting really any of that.
No.
Yeah, but the especially the Amendment 5, and now I'm starting because before it was all anti-5. Well, now I'm getting pro-5 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the flyers are just kind of going
flying.
everywhere. They're flying. Don't be surprised. This is to everybody. Don't be surprised if you're getting those knocks on the door this weekend. This is
Yeah.
the big push.
I probably won't because I'm in an apartment complex.
Right.
They tend to not do that. But
Yeah, because I know actually some apartments don't want that.
I don't know if we've got a strict prohibition on it or not, but I just have not
Yeah.
run into that, and I've lived there for a while. So.
Yeah, and of course, that's. But then again, weather may be a factor too. I mean, we could get some rain. My baseball games may or may not happen this weekend. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Because I think actually, was it raining when you came in a little bit ago?
No.
Okay, so I think maybe the forecast is for the rain to come in like maybe right after the rush
looked
hour.
at the weather in the past couple days, which
Yeah.
is not like me.
Yeah, I think it's not supposed to be, the first round's not supposed to be too much here, at least last night. But when I looked at it before I went to bed,
Well, now I have to look.
now you got to look at
I know.
and then there's another round that's coming in a little bit later, which could have some thunderstorms. We'll see how it goes. I don't think it's anything like serious or big. It could dampen the door knocking.
Kid put a cramp in my pool time. this
Oh, I
weekend.
think it's going to cramp your pool time. Yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah. You will think of it as being more efficient. You won't even have to get in the pool to get wet.
Yeah, but I want the sun.
Oh, well, that's different. If you're going to be picky about that sort
Yeah.
of thing at the pool, then yeah. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, I want to get into this more at 6:05. I saw the news here. You remember Faisal Khan?
I had completely
Yeah.
forgotten about him until you mentioned his name offhand,
Right.
and I was like, "Ooh, bad memories."
He was Sam Page's health department director.
Health
who-
department henchman.
Yeah, he was basically the Anthony Fauci of St. Louis.
Ooh.
And Sam Page sings his praises, which should tell you something. But this is the guy who was the lead guy, led the charge on some of the most draconian lockdowns, restrictions, basically prodded Sam Page into a stay-at-home order, which is grossly illegal and unconstitutional. And a lot of what he pushed for was thrown out by courts anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the guy who, demanded masks. And basically, he was one of the worst, I would argue, around the country. Because when we, the peasants, started saying, screw you, no, we're not going to obey you, people were actually showing up into the county council chambers and refusing to obey their orders about you need to put a mask on. They went, no, what are you going to do about it? And it got ugly. And this is the guy who, on camera, flipping off, the people who were standing up to his dictatorship. Or
Very professional.
The guy's just a piece of work. Left-wing nutcase. So finally, under pressure, he left. And he went to Seattle, King County. They've got one of those kind of joint city-county regions. And he was their health department director. Well, now we find out, we'll go into more detail here, like I said, in just a couple of minutes. He's been hired by the city of St. Louis to be their new health department director in the city.
Bad move.
Horrible move. Not just because this is one of the people you want as far away from government power as possible, but because Kara Spencer was on the track to reestablish some credibility of the city government. And this does not help. I'm not saying she still can't do it. This does not help whatsoever. All right, so 314-912-1019. This is just a tone-deaf move by Mayor Kara Spencer.
It really is.
That amid some other moves that she's been making that have been good. She's been getting some things very wrong, and she's been getting a lot of things very right. This is not a good move at all. I don't know what it is about the far left, because Kara is pretty far left.
She is.
Not as far left as Tashara Jones, but she's pretty far left. I don't know why anybody would think this is a good strategic move. Maybe they're just in that leftist bubble. I don't know, but we'll get into that a little bit more at 6:04.
It's a brand new show on News Talk STL, JC's Sunday Showgram.
This week, I'll tell you the story of how my debut in St. Louis back in '84 almost ended after 2 months. They almost whacked me. Plus, this week in '69, Charlie Manson's pals wreaked havoc in Southern California. And we'll tell you how a St. Louis TV reporter busted the case wide open. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
Sunday morning, 7 to 9. Then podcast each Monday on newstalkstl.com.
There's an old way to get ready for college, and there's a snooze way. Parents spend thousands of dollars on tuition, books, laptops, and everything their student needs to succeed. But one of the most important investments is often overlooked. Sleep. A college student who sleeps well is more alert, more focused, and better prepared for the challenges ahead. At Snooze Mattress Company, we use advanced pressure mapping technology to help match every student to the right sleep system. Give them an advantage they'll use every single night. When you sleep better, everything gets better.
I'm in my late 60s. story. My husband died a few years ago. He did all of our taxes. I sold a piece of property last year, and I forgot to claim the proceeds of the sale. Next thing I know, I got a letter from the IRS telling me that I owe over $50,000. Now I have a huge tax problem. I don't have that kind of money. I wish I knew who to call.
If you sold property in the last calendar year or didn't claim all of your part-time or even retirement income, you could be in big trouble with the IRS. Call first before they send you a letter. If you've already got a letter, call. We'll help you file years of past tax returns and save you time and money. So call the tax doctor. The call is confidential and free.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. Amit Tosin. A ruling by Spain's Supreme Court, combined with the policies of the socialist government, has unleashed a migrant invasion. Thousands of migrants, many of them young men from Morocco, are flooding into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta.
There has been this big attempt for people to get across, but the question is what happens to them once they're there. You've got the authorities that run this Spanish territory saying that they're overwhelmed, that there are reception centers which are already full up, that if anyone needs medical treatment, that the hospitals will be full. And also they say they're worried about the security side of things.
The BBC's Nick Beek says so far 18 migrants have died trying to reach the Spanish territory. President Trump blames far-left globalist policies. He's again urging Europe to reverse course or risk its own demise. There are fresh hopes for a path to peace in the Mideast. The president's multinational board of peace announcing a deal that would see Hamas disarm and Israel withdraw its forces from Gaza. Looks like Seattle's going to be in the market for a new police chief.
Seattle Police Chief Sean Barnes tells the Seattle Times his future as chief is up to the mayor amid public criticism and confusing communications after a shootout at a crowded food festival. Mayor Katie Wilson announced that Barnes had resigned and that she was appointing Andre Sales as interim chief. But Barnes' supporters say Wilson actually asked him to resign and he declined. Several black community organizations held a rally Thursday to try and save Barnes' job, saying he had helped improve relations between the police and the community. Wilson's office says they will hold a City Hall press conference at 11 a.m. Pacific on Friday to introduce Chief Sales and talk about the process for a permanent chief. I'm Jennifer King.
Cyber attacks on more than 30 water utilities in Minnesota earlier this week. It's under investigation. The Dow futures are up 343 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 328. Townhall.com.
Joe Fallon did something smart. He saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. With that money, he commissioned a portrait of himself. Does Joe already know what he looks like? Yes. Do guests know what he looks like? Also yes. But not as art. It's Joe's savings, and if he wants to spend it on a velvet painting of himself with a white tiger at his feet, we say, roar, Joe, roar. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Hey, y'all, I'm Willie Robertson.
And I'm Corey Robertson.
We partnered with ECHO. It's a new platform, not just streaming.
Movies and series that are safe for your family. I love a podcast.
Plus, ECHO Daily Devotionals.
ECHO. Hey, Willie, what is ECHO?
ECHO is my pet squirrel. Okay, now, ECHO is not just faith-friendly, it is faith-driven.
Be a part of something better.
ECHO.
ECHO.
It's where I want to be.
That's EKKL.com.
Subscribe.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Weakening showers and thunderstorms could have an impact in spots this morning before fading midday into the afternoon. But another round of storms likely late this afternoon into this evening, and some of those storms could be strong with gusty winds, maybe even an isolated tornado. Turning steamy this afternoon, a high of 84. Storms make way for scattered showers overnight, down to 69 for the low. Unseasonably cool and mostly cloudy Saturday with scattered showers from time to time. A high tomorrow, only 76. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Shane.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com.
Travis Wilson here, state representative from District 106 in St. Charles, Missouri's first state capital. I wanted to remind everyone that we have a crucial primary election coming up on Tuesday, August 4th. No excuse, in-person voting has already begun, and I'd appreciate your vote to continue my service for the great people of St. Charles. For more information on early voting or to learn more about me and the important issues facing Missouri, visit me on Facebook at Wilson for St. Charles. Thank you, and may God continue to bless the state of Missouri.
Paid for by Wilson for St. Charles. Merle Schneider, Treasurer.
Tuesday night.
Missouri decides 2026.
All the results and reactions from the Missouri State Primary.
You have to get out and vote.
From the voices you know and trust in St. Louis for election night coverage.
Amendment 4.
Amendment 5.
County executives.
Coverage begins Tuesday night at 7 on St. Louis's conservative voice.
Right here.
News Talk STL. Brought to you by Fast Signs in Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in House Springs, Gemini Wealth Group, and Freddy's Market. News, analysis, opinion.
Graham Plattner is still in the race.
I tell you who saw it coming. Every American who was paying attention knew that this guy's motherboard was fried.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Starting off with a 80s classic there.
Little Duran Duran.
Duran Duran. Okay, so here's the thing. Ashlyn's in for Jerome today. So in the 80s, most of the guys, we couldn't stand Duran Duran. We just couldn't. But it wasn't because of their music. Do you know why we couldn't stand Duran Duran? Because all the girls loved Duran Duran. And we were jealous because all the girls loved Duran Duran.
Because they were hot and they had great hair.
Yeah,
They had great eyeliner.
And we didn't. We had pimples.
Could not compete.
We couldn't compete with
sure.
Simon Le Bon.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a little 80s culture history for you there. But now as we got older, we're like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good pop music there.
It was.
That was pretty. I'd go. They're like, I think they're touring again. They're like doing the
Wow.
retro tours, and they're getting pretty good. They're getting pretty good turnout. All those like 80s shows are getting big turnout.
Well, yeah, because their fans are mostly still alive.
That's right. All right, 6:06 on this Flashback Friday here. Okay, the Anthony Fauci of St. Louis is back.
Yuck.
I got to tell you, this one really surprised me. Just because, not even that listen, Kara Spencer was a tremendous improvement over Tachari Jones. I don't think anybody with common sense is going to argue differently.
Absolutely.
And I think Kara's focus on, let's get the potholes fixed. Let's have a plan for when the ice storms hit, and let's do it now before the ice storms hit. Let's get the trash picked up, and this thing that she's gone on right away, like basic government services, really has started to put the city in a position to have credibility again, at least from the city government perspective. Now, I think she is somewhere between Back the Blue and Defund the Police. She's somewhere in the middle there. She's caught in the middle.
She's caught in the middle of that.
So her opposition to the actions of the state police board for the city, that's obviously questionable there, but it is what it is. Her decisions to back curfews and crackdowns on a lot of the youth stuff that's going on, that's resulted in good results, as far as cracking down on some of the stuff. And then we get the news last night. It just kind of popped up all of a sudden, announcements that she has hired Faisal Khan, the former St. Louis County Health Department director, to be the city's new health department director.
Oh, why though?
That's the question. First of all, he was run out of town in 2022. And when I say run out of town, there was such a massive outcry, pushback, hatred of him because of the way he treated the people of St. Louis. And Sam Page allowed him to both run roughshod over the people of St. Louis and then took direction from Faisal Khan. So Sam Page ran roughshod over the people of St. Louis during the entire COVID panic era. And Faisal Khan is the guy who basically was the Anthony Fauci of St. Louis. Sam Page singing his praises, saying he took criticism for making bold science-based decisions, which we now know is not true.
Bold science. That's a different acronym than I would use.
Yeah, precisely. I see where you're going with that.
Yes.
It's a different kind of BS yeah. And so not only was he wrong, but he was authoritarian and dictatorial. And he was also one of these who clearly felt that he was an elite.
Yes.
By the way, that he literally flipped off the people who were objecting and pushing back against these mandates and these restrictions. And the pushback, despite the way the media tried to frame them, despite the way that the government and Sam Page tried to frame, turns out they were right the whole dang time. They were right. Faisal Khan, infamously flipping them off when, they were objecting. And then he gets run out of town in 2022, and then he goes to a much bigger area, Seattle and King County. So now he's back. I don't know if he just wanted to be back in St. Louis or if something happened there in King County. I didn't care enough to look it up. I don't care.
No.
But you remember his tenure here, which was an absolute disaster. So many of the things that he implemented and that he worked with Sam Page to implement, literally thrown out by the courts. And then they came back and then reissued executive orders to mandate the things that the courts had already struck down. And so what you have here is somebody who is an unapologetic authoritarian, and now Kara Spencer puts him into her cabinet. And she says in her statements to the media, this is one of the most important parts of the mayor's cabinet, which, is probably accurate. I don't think it's the most important. I think your public works and all that kind of stuff are some of your top of your list, but it's a crucial area, and she's thrilled to have him on. I don't know if she's trying to shore up her left wing cred with the voters, but this is a lose-lose situation. This is somebody who should not be anywhere near government power.
I don't think that's it, Mike, because no one is clamoring for Faisal Khan.
Nobody.
So that's not even like, oh, he was a hero of the left. Like, everyone forgot about him. He was the guy when he left, everyone said, let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Like, bye.
And even the leftists who were on board with the Fauci nonsense, they were very quiet. I think they were like, we know this guy's a loser.
Yeah, so that's, to me, it's more, I think this might be like a desperation move. Like, you need somebody to fill the position. We probably aren't positioned to compensate that person as well as other cities might be. This guy was available. Maybe he was available because they didn't really like him in Seattle. I don't know.
I'm going to look this.
But my suspicion on this was more of like, who can we get? We can afford this guy. I mean, he's got some ties to the area, so let's do that.
Yeah, and it just, there was an interim who's going to still be working within there. And so, he was with Seattle, King County, and there. And I don't know why he left. And I know that he's got ties to the region, as in he was working before taking over in St. Louis County. He was with one of those, public health initiative institutes in the Kansas City area. So I maybe he just really wants to be in the Midwest. But this is just, I think, a really, really tone-deaf move for Kara Spencer, who just doesn't need another round of contentious controversy around her. She just doesn't need it. And this guy has proven to be inept at what he does.
My guess is desperation move, figuring that not that many people are going to pay that close attention.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I look at the mainstream media coverage of this, Channel 2 had one link where they said he left in 2022. And then it linked to a story that showed, some of the controversy and pushback. But the others just wrote stories on this that indicate it's just another hire. And he used to work for St. Louis County. Then he went somewhere else. Now he's back. And there was no reference of the intensity that he brought on. So I think that there's a lot of mainstream media in town that just kind of want people to forget that this is the guy who was at the helm of shutting down businesses, was at the helm of shutting down schools, illegally issued orders and mandates after the courts and even the state. I mean, this is the guy who supported Sam Page's issuing a stay-at-home order where the government said you're not allowed to leave your home except for these circumstances, which obviously anybody with common sense disobeyed.
The city of St. Louis is probably the least likely to receive pushback on that basis.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Just in terms of people's thoughts and feelings about how that was all handled. But he left on a very sour note. He is the guy that was flipping off the constituents on camera. I mean, there is a lot of baggage that goes with this guy, and he didn't do a good job in his role. He, on top of making bad policy decisions in response to the pandemic itself, he just wasn't good in the role.
Right. And it turns out, looking back, he was wrong about everything.
I think that speaks to a larger issue, too. If we're not able to attract top talent and, good qualified people for positions like this, that speaks to our deficiencies as a city and as a region.
Yeah, because at some point you say, who wants to work for the city of St. Louis?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously they've got people that will work for them, but I don't think that it's necessarily like people knocking down the doors.
Yeah, jeez. I mean, yeah. So that was the few things that surprised me, in the news, because I think Kara Spencer, while I disagree with her on obviously ideological stuff and a lot of policy stuff, I do think she's getting some things right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think she's been a vast improvement over the previous mayor, and I think she's got potential, even though I disagree with her on stuff, and she's much farther to the left than.
I feel like she's more in tune with actually doing the job of the mayor than just holding the title of mayor.
I agree.
So, and I appreciate that about her, but this is a bad call.
And she doesn't strike me as somebody who is getting elected to mayor in hopes of getting elected to some higher office later. I mean, to some degree, almost all of them do.
Yeah.
But her focus has been inward on the city.
Correct.
As opposed to Tishaura Jones making her focus how much she hates Donald Trump and Mike Parson and, Mike Kehoe and things like that.
Well, I guess we can't get them all right. Also, you know what? It may be a while longer before we have an actual attorney general. We'll explain what's happening and why Todd Blanche may not be confirmed this year. That's at 6:20.
Looking for a hardware store that treats you like family? Welcome to True Value Schneider's Hardware, your local gem in Old Town St. Peters. For over 100 years, we're proudly serve you St. Charles County, providing everything from lawn and garden supplies to plumbing and electrical. Need a bolt or fastener? We've got you covered. And don't forget, we're a steel dealership. Whether you need sales, parts, or service, ask for Charlie or Jerry when you come in. We're here to help. Call 636-278-4461 or visit us online at truevalue.com/Schneiders.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at newstalkstl.com.
Brought to you by Heroes Care, Alamo Military Collectibles, Gemini Wealth Group, Michael's Funeral Home, and Freddie's Market.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community. Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
Have you heard those ads claiming Amendment 4 stops conservative amendments?
That's not true. It actually stops a couple big cities from pushing radical ideas into our Constitution. Remember 2024? Only 8 out of 114 counties voted to allow transgender surgeries on children.
That's terrifying. We can't let just a handful of counties rule the whole state.
Exactly. Amendment 4 requires broad statewide support and keeps foreign money out of our elections. Vote yes on 4 this August 4th.
Paid for by Freedom Principle MO, Missouri First PAC. Kate Sickles, Treasurer.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. I love Capriotti's, and you will too. Visit Capriotti's now at 2 locations on Manchester at McKnight and Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270.
Summer's here, and so is the freshest produce in town. At Anthony's Produce, we specialize in locally grown fruits and vegetables, straight from the farm to your table. Homegrown tomatoes, sweet corn, juicy cantaloupe, watermelon, and peaches, just to name a few. Plus, thousands of locally made products you won't find anywhere else. Need a fruit or vegetable tray for your next gathering? We've got you covered. Anthony's Produce on Jungerman Road or at anthonysproduce.com. Open 7 days a week.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
Are you struggling with life's pressures? The Flot Line has answers. Join host Rick Hughes for biblical principles and learn how to build a spiritual flot line in your soul. Discover God's plan for your life. Sunday mornings at 9:30 on News Talk STL.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
See, this is about a 5 or 6 on the Susie dance scale, Ashlyn. See this one? Yeah. This is one of those where female pop band, but I'm telling you, the dudes loved this.
It's the reverse of Duran Duran.
Well, was it really? Okay.
No.
Oh.
We loved them too. I'm just saying your appreciation of them was the reverse of it.
Yeah. No, I mean, but yes, they were. Yeah, Belinda Carlisle's obviously very
attractive.
for the Go-Go's.
Yes.
But honestly, it's just something really catchy about the Go-Go's.
Yes.
And I think it was like, it's one of those, like, it was hard to not like them.
Mm-hmm.
Even us, like, rock and metal guys were like, okay, that's catchy. That's fun.
It was early 80s. They were right in that sweet spot where, like, the 60s were far enough in the rearview mirror that it was a little nostalgic to hear that kind of sound, almost Beach Boys-ish sound. And then it was a girl band, and it was, like, upbeat and peppy. You couldn't
and then,
not like it.
who was it? Jane Whelan, I think, was also in that band. And somebody else who had a pretty good solo career. Somebody else from there, too. But, obviously, Belinda Carlisle is the one that had the biggest
was the
star
key.
there, but yeah, no, Go-Go's on this Flashback Friday. That's fun. Okay, so this has to do with Todd Blanche, and at the same time, it maybe doesn't directly have to do with Todd Blanche or something like that. That doesn't make any sense, but things that don't make sense now in politics right now. 6:21 right now, and we have an update from just a few minutes ago as well. Okay, so here is essentially what we've got going on is Todd Blanche, the acting attorney general. He has been nominated to have that job on a full-time basis. But a vote to advance Blanche's nomination to become the head of the Justice Department, that's been postponed because there's 2 Republican senators on the Judiciary Committee who are saying, nope, not on board, not right now. And that's John Cornyn and Tom Tillis.
The Sour Grapes Caucus.
Because
both of them lost their jobs.
Right. They're calling for the Trump administration to commit in writing to never create what they talked about before with the so-called anti-weaponization fund to compensate, among others, allies of the president who say they were targeted by the Biden administration. And there were plenty of Trump allies who were targeted by the Biden administration. So Senator Cornyn, talking to reporters, he, though, says, hey, this is on the White House, too. Nope. Am I up? All right. Let's try it again here. Am I up there? Okay.
During COVID, while everybody else was sitting at home or
that's the
sick.
wrong one. Sorry, I got that one coming up in the news dump. There we go. Here's John Cornyn. My bad.
If this were just between me and Todd Blanche, we would have worked this out. But apparently, he's getting some pushback from higher ups at the White House. I don't know who, but this doesn't need to be this hard.
Okay, so let's get into the weeds a little bit. The Trump administration says it's already dropped the anti-weaponization fund. President Trump has still said some things supporting the idea, but the Trump administration says, hey, officially we've dropped it. Trump likes the idea. The president suggesting Senator Cornyn was still upset that the president got in and endorsed his opponent.
Ken Paxton, yes.
Yeah, endorsed Ken Paxton, who ended up winning that nomination. And so Cornyn also asking the Trump administration to change the deal that gave the president immunity from tax audits.
From future tax audits.
Future tax audits,
right.
Yeah.
So
the president just had something to say about this,
He
too.
did. He just weighed in on Truth Social early this morning. He says, this is a little bit lengthy, but I'll try and do it fast. I can talk fast.
Sure.
John Cornyn never had a problem with the so-called fund, which will not benefit me, but rather the great American patriots who were hunted down like dogs and whose lives were unfairly and illegally destroyed by the crooked Joe Biden administration until after I decided to endorse and support his Republican primary opponent in Texas, who easily won the nomination for the United States Senate. Perhaps there has never been a group of people treated so badly in our nation's history. They are suffering still, many ruined, and I felt that they should be given compensation for what had been done to them. I gave up any payments for myself, which would have been substantial, including for the illegal and unprecedented raid on Mar-a-Lago, my home in Florida, even though many legal experts and others, including John Cornyn, said it was a shocking and disgusting display of weaponization against me. Such an event has never happened before and hopefully will never happen again. I will always feel that these victims of government abuse should be paid back for what they were forced to endure. Their lives have been ruined. Millions of people agree with me, as was proven in my landslide presidential win, where this was a major subject of debate, and so did John Cornyn until he lost his election to an opponent that I endorsed. Todd Blanche, a good man, should be immediately approved as U.S. Attorney General. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump.
Yeah. Now, he's also has said that maybe he just holds on to the nomination till after whoever the new senators are take office.
Yeah, and he can withdraw the nomination.
Yep.
And Blanche can serve as the acting.
Is there a limit on how long he can do that?
I was going to look that up, but I don't think there is, because I think that happened with Julie Sue in the Bidens, because they wouldn't approve her as the Labor Department secretary.
Yeah.
So yeah, he can continue to serve as the acting, and then when the new Congress comes in January, Trump can resubmit the nomination, and presumably Ken Paxton and hopefully Michael Whatley will be on board and vote in favor of Blanche's nomination.
I can't believe I'm about to ask this question, but how certain are we Ken Paxton's going to be in the Senate? I couldn't imagine Texas electing some nutcase like Tallarico, but if you believe the polling, and we know what I think of polling, apparently it's either close or Tallarico, maybe even a nudge ahead at this point, which I find really hard to believe in Texas.
I think that's a fair question to ask, because Paxton, although he is no question, true blue red, if you will, very much a MAGA guy.
He's got baggage.
He has baggage. Tallarico has baggage in a different way.
Yeah.
My instinct is that Texas is not going to elect James Tallarico.
I couldn't imagine.
I mean, they've elected Paxton their attorney general several times over.
Right.
My suspicion is he's going to win, and it's not going to be like razor thin.
Mm-hmm. That's my guess too.
I'm not going to put money on it. I'm not going to say there's no way. So I think it is a fair question to ask, but I don't see Texas electing James Tallarico.
So essentially what Cornyn is saying is, okay, great, you've promised not to bring back this anti-weaponization fund. Put it in writing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, he's saying they won't put it in writing. You put it in writing, fine, we move forward. That's basically what he's saying.
Kind of. Yeah, there's been some back and forth about what they do want in there and what's good enough and what's not. And, he may have some valid complaints with it, but he also may be playing some games too, just to get his little revenge.
Well, could be, yeah.
Yeah, I think both could be true.
That's fair. Both.
You know what I'm
there
saying?
could there could be, because there were plenty of Republicans who were on board and supporting President Trump who were like, yeah, we don't like this.
Right.
When I first read about it, I'm like, I don't like this either. So there are plenty of conservative objections to the way that he put together this anti-weaponization fund.
Correct. Yeah. And the timing of that and the way they did that was a bad move, just from a political standpoint, from an optics standpoint. And so pulling it off the table was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And, I don't disagree with the idea that people that were wrongly persecuted by the Biden administration for political reasons, there should be some way for them to get compensated, some relief for that. But that may not be this. And this shouldn't be the hill to die on. But I do also think that John Cornyn is, in a very sort of, he's less subtle. He's more subtle than Tom Tillis. Tom Tillis is just like, I don't care. Now, he resigned. He didn't lose his election, but he knows he's got nothing to lose.
Right.
So he's more, I think, willing to go like toe to toe. Cornyn's trying to be, I think, a little bit more subtle about it, but I do think some of this is a little bit of political payback.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I don't know what's next for either of these guys. Could be retirement, could be, who knows? I mean, I don't know.
Cornyn will probably lecture. He'll probably be I could see him being like a professor somewhere,
going on board,
going on lecture circuit. Yeah, serving on some boards.
Tank or
he's not exactly a spring chicken.
No, not
you
at
could
all.
hear in his voice. He's getting up there.
Yeah. Well seasoned and experienced.
Yes.
And all the good and all the bad that goes with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and this is one of the things that happens when people take sides in intra-party primaries.
Yes.
This is, because code of the road has typically been when you've got heavyweights
in this, you generally stay out of it. That's been the code of the road. President Trump does not follow the code of the road.
No, and sometimes he does, and then sometimes he doesn't. I mean, it's just whether or not I think he thinks it's beneficial to him politically.
Right.
You know, and he endorsed late in that, and I think it was more of a follow-on endorsement than anything. I don't think President Trump's endorsement is what put Paxton over the top.
See, I think that's the same thing. I think President Trump is taking credit for Paxton's win, but I don't think President Trump's endorsement actually made that happen.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But you know, that in politics is dirty business, and people get feelings hurt and have, you know, have grudges that they hold, and sometimes that ends up kind of rearing its ugly head and can bite you.
It's not easy to lose elections. You know, I've been on the winning side, I've been on the losing side. I mean, it's not easy, and especially nothing on that level of.
And particularly if people that are quote unquote on your side don't always back you. I mean, that definitely, I get it. You know, it's just human nature.
So the bottom line is, Todd Blanche is probably going to become the actual Attorney General, just maybe not anytime soon.
Yeah, it might be after January.
Yeah. Once
in the meantime, he's the acting Attorney General, which is, you know, he's the AG in name. No, he's not in name only. I mean, he's acting Attorney General. So yeah. I mean, I don't.
Maybe not with the full salary just yet.
Yeah, I don't know how they work that. Yeah. I really don't know. But I mean, we're not going to, from a practical standpoint, notice a difference.
Yeah. So the order for business cards from Vistaprints just on hold right now.
It's just on hold.
That's the thing. You know.
That's going to become a thing of the past very, very soon.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Hey, you know, there are tons of ways to listen to us, watch us, and enjoy our show like you're doing right now. But if you've got a phone, you've also got a radio, because you can get the News Talk STL app, download it, and then you can listen to us anywhere, anytime, no matter what.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Weakening showers and thunderstorms could have an impact in spots this morning before fading midday into the afternoon. But another round of storms likely late this afternoon into this evening, and some of those storms could be strong with gusty winds, maybe even an isolated tornado. Turning steamy this afternoon, a high of 84. Storms make way for scattered showers overnight, down to 69 for the low. Unseasonably cool and mostly cloudy Saturday with scattered showers from time to time. The high tomorrow only 76. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt James.
Steve EHLMANN leads. EHLMANN enacted a data center moratorium. He doubled our parkland, built new roads, prioritized safe schools and streets, eliminated the county's real property tax. EHLMANN for St. Charles County. Bill Eigel misleads. Eigel talks but didn't pay his property taxes, but voted to give tax credits to the company behind the St. Charles data center, and was rebuked by Trump's lawyer for scamming donors.
Paid for by the committee to elect Steve EHLMANN, Michael Summer Jr., Treasurer.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Can you believe politicians nearly doubled state spending since 2019? Yeah, that's twice the rate of inflation.
What do we get for all that extra spending? Nothing.
Yeah, and get this, over 200 loopholes are buried in our tax code, written by lobbyists for wealthy corporations.
Our tax code is rigged against us.
We get taxed on our paycheck, our home, everything we buy.
I guess somebody's got to pay for all that spending.
That's why we need Amendment 5. It puts politicians on a leash.
Forces them to cut taxes and control spending, whether they like it or not.
Amendment 5 closes the loopholes, eliminates income taxes, cuts property taxes, and gives $3,000 a year to average working families.
We decide, not the politicians.
Amendment 5 is the biggest tax cut in Missouri history.
I'm voting yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC. Mark Ellinger, Treasurer.
The Vic Borselli Show.
So Anthony Fauci testified in front of a Senate committee. He took the fifth more than 111 times. He said it all exactly the same way. We'll talk to Tony Kennett from the Daily Signal about that Thursday at 11:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Oh my goodness, I haven't heard this song in probably decades.
Mm-mm.
Man. Okay.
Is it from Rocky?
Yes.
You're the best around.
Yes, because I was like,
It's
is it from Rocky or is it from Over the Top? I think it was from Rocky 4, maybe?
Try again.
Not 5.
Karate Kid.
Yes.
Oh, Karate
I had to look it up.
Kid, yes. Okay.
I know it was like Rocky, the idea, but it felt like it wasn't.
Oh, Karate Kid. That's okay. Yes.
Great 80s movie.
Yeah. Karate Kid. Karate Kid was great.
Looks off.
And you know the funny part is what was such a huge part of those movies is the soundtrack was such a massive deal. And sometimes the soundtrack could make or break a movie.
Yeah.
Because they would sell the soundtrack separately. And some of the best albums from the 80s are the soundtrack.
Oh my gosh, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. No, Karate Kid is definitely a great movie.
Yes. All right.
Great 80s flick.
6:35 here. Okay, so not that I'm encouraging anything nefarious. I would never do that.
Sure.
But if you're going to commit a crime, you should probably be careful about your internet searches.
Oh.
Your future defense lawyer will thank you for that.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Now, in the meantime, you want to get caught up on all the news before you go into the weekend, and you can have your little decompress time, but know what you're doing. So, Susie, what should we be checking out on redstate.com today?
This is the Red State Rundown.
All right, today on Red State, you should check out from Bob Hogue, Can't Make It Up. SCOTUS Justice KBJ calls for impartiality while appearing on Michelle O's podcast.
So a very impartial discussion, I'm sure.
Little irony there. Yeah, that one's from Bob. This one is going to probably raise some eyebrows. It's from our friend Terry Christoph. Kissing cousins. Troy Jackson's Senate campaign just got really weird. Yeah, we might want to talk about that a little bit later.
Oh, so let's just go ahead and give the punchline to that.
So, okay, Graham Plattner's out in the
Right.
Maine Senate race. Nazi tattoo guy gone. The guy who they finally selected to replace him has his own issues, several of them, not least of which is the fact that his life partner, who he's not technically married to but has 2 grown sons with, I mean, they've been together forever and ever,
Right, yeah.
is his second cousin. Now, that is perfectly legal.
It's legal.
In all 50 states.
Yeah.
It's just a little less common today than perhaps like in the 1700s, 1800s.
You would think.
But nevertheless. Yeah. So Terry's had a little fun with that one, and you want to check that out. And then last but not least, from Nick Arama, concerning poll about socialists and Democrat Party, Adam Schiff's response explains the problem. I mean, socialism is like the new hot thing amongst an alarmingly large number of Democrats, and Democrat leadership or traditional Democrats are, I guess, basically kowtowing to it.
Yeah, that's what I think is happening.
Yeah.
They're afraid to basically hold the ground and go, hold on, stop. This is not what we, I think
going to
so.
run
That's
them right
interesting.
over.
All right, so redstate.com. You can find all of that there. All right, here's some news things that maybe you missed. Not in the headlines. They happen, but they get overshadowed by other stuff here. How about this? There is a bipartisan bill in Congress floating around. I don't know what kind of chance it's got to pass. That would make it illegal to make phone calls on airplanes when you're in the air. Yeah. So most U.S. carriers don't allow in-flight calls already, but there's some pressure to change that because if you pay the few extra bucks to get the Wi-Fi, you can go ahead and use your phone and call people. And it's really annoying when it happens. So Congress is looking to pass a bill that would ban all phone and video calls on airplanes as it stands right now. So again, several foreign airlines still allow Wi-Fi calls, British Airways, Virgin Atlantic, things like that. They could be impacted under U.S. airspace. So why would the government get involved? Well, some people say it's a safety issue. Others just say they just don't want the annoyance and the conflict that could come with it.
Why don't the carriers just make the call?
Because a lot of times the carriers, we don't want to be the bad guy. They want to be able to go, ma'am, you have to turn it off.
No.
Sorry, federal government rules.
They cram you in like a sardine.
Yeah.
They limit how big your bag can be.
Yep.
They tell you to put your seat backs up. They do all that other stuff, but they can't tell you, hey, don't make any calls while you're on.
Right.
Yes. Now,
yeah. We are cattle to the airlines. That's all we are.
Right. So I don't buy that they can't make this a rule. I don't know that this is something that Congress really needs to be involved with. It just doesn't seem.
Here's the weird part is that Congress actually voted in 2018 to require the FAA to ban the phone calls, but it was never implemented. I don't think it was ever signed into a law, but basically Congress did one of those votes like, here's what we think should happen. But the FAA is obviously under the president. So this is a bill that would force that ban nationwide over the airspace in 6 months.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't affect me because I don't fly. So
that's true. All right. Well, what do we have here?
Okay, we have Dave on the phone, and he wants to join the conversation
All right.
about the ban.
All right, Dave. What do you think? You're on the air.
Good morning. Hey, if I could, I need you guys' help on the 4 and 5 initiatives, but that's what Congress has to worry about. Making a phone call on a plane, but we're not worried about insider trading.
Well, yeah.
We
priorities, Dave. Priorities.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, if I could, one other comment. I'm so tired of Holly and Jim Jordan and all these Republicans that are like the Taco Bell dog that'll yep. They never get anything done. Josh Hawley, shut up. If you're not going to get anything done, stop barking. I'm tired of it. It's a constant theme out of the Republicans. We'll bark big, but we get nothing done. Rand Paul's another one. If Fauci doesn't go to jail, then just roll the streets up and shut the hell up.
Hey, Dave, appreciate you being on the show once again. I mean, Josh Hawley's going to have something to say about that on Sean Hannity on Fox, I'm sure. Yeah. Dave, thanks.
Yeah. No, I understand his frustration.
Absolutely.
All talk, no follow through doesn't really impress people much.
No. All right. Okay, so let's talk about some true crime here. Because you're a true crime podcast.
I am a junkie.
Yeah, you're a junkie on that. Okay, so there's a woman in Connecticut who is charged with murder. Cynthia Martinez is accused of killing a man back in March, and she was caught. And the police still don't really, they're trying to figure out what the motivation is. But they say this was premeditated murder, even though they can't really put their finger on the motivation itself. And you say, well, how could you know it's premeditated if you don't know what the motivation was?
Right.
Well, because they looked at her search history on her Google history, and she Googled, and I'm quoting here, "Does God forgive murderers?" before the crime happened.
Oh.
Now, I don't know what Google told her, but police say, ooh, yeah, this is according to WTNH television there in the Connecticut area. So they went, oh, so we think she did it. Was it premeditated or something else? Oh, she asked, does God forgive murders prior to the guy getting killed?
It's a very specific thing to ask. She might have wanted to consult with a church leader.
I was going to say clergy might have been
the way to go.
And the thing is that if you'd gone to a clergyman, the clergyman probably would have said, let's talk about why you shouldn't do this, and maybe
let's talk about why you're asking.
Yes,
and work through that
and talk you out of actually killing another human.
Why do you want to chance it?
Yeah. So her defense attorney is going to have a little bit of a rough time with that one.
Sounds like she's real swift. Yeah, it would seem to me, I mean, just based on my experience with true crime, I mean, if, what's going to probably seal the deal more than anything is her relationship to the person that that was killed and that sort of thing, but that's not going to help her.
No, not in the least.
That alone probably wouldn't do it.
No. Could that be the difference between with not knowing the other circumstances, a first and second degree charge kind of thing?
I mean, the premeditated. Okay, if there's no question that she did it, and the question is whether it was premeditated or heat of the moment kind of thing, then yes, this would definitely go to that.
At least it's a piece of solid evidence.
It would seem to indicate that she had murder on her mind ahead of time.
Right. All right. I don't know if you saw this, but a few weeks ago, Aldi. They debuted a new product, and it did not go as well as I think they had hoped.
What did they do?
They were selling a box of 4 ice cubes for $5.
What?
Yeah, they were apparently very large and like ice cubes with like some sort of fancy, image on them.
Not the mold.
No,
the cubes themselves.
The cubes themselves. They were selling. They added a new product. They were selling Frozen ice cubes, crystal clear frozen ice cubes, as opposed to some other kind of ice cubes.
Well, sometimes they're murky. I don't know.
I mean, isn't an unfrozen ice cube just water?
Water?
So they tried to market frozen ice cubes for $5 at Aldi's, and let's just say it didn't work out very well for them.
I mean, you do buy bags of ice.
Yes.
And
Yes.
water. I mean,
Yes.
it's not that we don't buy this product, but
Designer ice cubes.
Yeah, and again, the molds, absolutely, because then you can make your own designer ice cubes and put them in your, old fashioned that you fix or whatever.
Right.
Totally get that. But yeah.
That was $1.25 per ice cube.
Yeah.
When you work
Bad
it
price
all out.
point on top of a not the greatest idea.
And Aldi isn't really, that's not their thing, is to market to the high price foo-foo stuff. You go to Aldi so you can get the same
it
groceries
simple.
cheaper. That's the whole point.
just hand out the ice trays, guys.
So anyway, a lot of jokes on social media. They haven't gotten rid of these in some of the Aldis, but now they've cut the price to $2.50.
Oh, I
for
might need to go get some.
fancy ice cubes. Just rush home or your $2.50 frozen ice cubes. I'm trying to figure out what's dumber, selling that or saying it's
Calling it
frozen
frozen
ice
ice cubes.
Frozen ice cubes.
Just an unfrozen ice cube. I don't understand. Bad marketing.
Yeah, way to go, Aldi.
Hey. You know what is good marketing is us letting you know that Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, since it is election day, you can get all your election night coverage from none other than Newstalk STL. We're going to be live on the air Tuesday, August 4th, starting at 7 p.m. Newstalk STL will be broadcasting live as Missouri's election results come in, keeping listeners informed the moment updates are released. Tune in for real-time coverage, expert analysis, and the latest developments throughout election night. The broadcast begins, like I said, at 7 p.m.
Okay, do I sense one of the greatest 80s songs ever playing in the background right now? Ashlyn's like, yes, you do.
Speaking of Rocky.
Yes, you do. Crank it up.
First palm routine.
Now I want to go work out.
News, analysis, opinion.
It almost seems common sense, but, alas, common sense isn't so common these days.
News Talk STL.
Republican Chris Sander is the true fiscal conservative running for state representative. Chris Sander says it's time to stop Travis Wilson giving away hundreds of millions of dollars in state tax credits to special interests, billions of tax dollars given away to private developers of empty office buildings in St. Louis and sports stadiums in Kansas City. Chris Sander will work to bring our tax dollars home to St. Charles. We need a representative in our corner, not another lobbyist for St. Louis or Kansas City. Please vote for Chris Sander, Republican for state representative, the true fiscal conservative.
Paid for by Sander for Missouri. Patricia Van Dyne, treasurer.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colony.
Sweet. I'll bring my 500 cousins. This'll be the biggest ant rager of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888 to learn more about our special $67 offer.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Hey, it's Chris Arps. Becky and I recently discovered a restaurant that's quickly become one of our go-to restaurants, Timothy's in Creve Coeur. Led by executive chef Will Mabry, Timothy's serves contemporary American cuisine with a touch of Southern charm. Dishes like pastrami, smoked lamb, and shrimp and grits. My wife absolutely loved the lobster pot pie, and everything we've tried has been incredible. Amazing house-made desserts and over 500 wines to choose from. Enjoy dinner 7 nights a week, plus lunch, brunch, and private events. Timothy's in Creve Coeur at 12710 Olive Boulevard or online at timothysstl.com.
This is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the #1 RE/MAX franchise in the region. As a licensed real estate broker with RE/MAX Results for over 20 years, I've seen the ups and downs of many real estate markets, including the one we're in right now. With the spring market in full swing, now is the time to leap into the buying or selling of your home. Someday is not a day. Today is the day to make your move. Call me at 314-852-8933 or email me at markhardersells@gmail.com.
When decisions matter most, experience isn't optional. Tim Whitney has spent nearly 24 years serving Jefferson County through the Sheriff's Office. As a former SWAT commander, he has led under pressure, made critical decisions, and understood what it means to be prepared when leadership matters most. Today, as Undersheriff and Chief Financial Officer, Tim helps lead hundreds of employees, manages one of the county's largest budgets, and protects taxpayers with conservative accountability. Tim Whitney brings the kind of real-world executive experience Jefferson County needs in its next county executive.
I'm Tim Whitney. Jefferson County isn't just where I've served. It's where my wife and I are raising our family and where we've chosen to build our life. I'm running for county executive because I believe our county's future matters. Together we can support responsible growth, strengthen public safety, protect taxpayers, and preserve the character that makes Jefferson County home. I'd be honored to earn your vote.
Paid for by Friends of Tim Whitney, Heather Missy Treasurer.
When Donald Trump needs conservative votes to help pass his agenda for Missouri, Representative Tricia Burns never answers the call. Tricia Burns has missed 370 votes. Burns is bucking President Trump's priorities. Burns did not vote to stop DEI initiatives, prevent China from owning Missouri land, defund Planned Parenthood, and Burns did not vote to ban boys from girls' sports. Tricia Burns not showing up for Missouri and President Trump. Instead, Tricia Burns spends her time pulling pranks on the suicide prevention hotline. Yes, you heard that right. Tricia Burns lied to the police and staged a fake suicide emergency. She sent a series of messages to the hotline and said she, quote, had a gun to her head, end quote. When she got caught, she said there'd be no consequences because she's a politician. By August 4th, vote to show Tricia Burns that there are consequences to being bad at your job.
Let's Go Brandon PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Chris Foss, Treasurer.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Okay, Sam Page's favorite lockdown specialist is returning to the loo.
Giggity.
Yeah. A new federal program wants to push illegals out of the driver's seats of tractor trailers.
I'm on board.
Yeah, and then you're probably going to be more on board when I tell you who they want to replace them with.
Okay.
And the Cardinals do that Cardinals thing again yesterday.
Really?
All right, 6:51. Let's go ahead and do a news dump, shall we?
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Whistle Pig Outdoors.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
The Anthony Fauci of St. Louis is back. Yeah. Disgraced former St. Louis County Health Department Director Faisal Khan has been hired to lead the city of St. Louis's health department. Khan was Sam Page's point person during the COVID era and led the charge for restrictions and mask orders and closures and stay-at-home orders from the government. Many of those were later overturned by courts, and then public pressure eventually led to his resignation in 2022. Khan was most recently the public health director for Seattle and King County in the state of Washington. Yeah.
Not welcome back.
No, he's not at all. His first day as St. Louis's health director will be August 3rd, so this coming week.
The good news is he has no say over my life.
Correct, yes.
He shouldn't have any say over anyone's life. It's not going to directly impact me.
This is the type of person who should be kept as far away from any sort of authority as possible. All right. Republicans reacting to former White House chief medical advisor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, who is the Faisal Khan of America.
Exactly.
It's going to go that way, yeah. Because of that testimony in which he pled the fifth over 100 times instead of answering questions about not just COVID-19, but the government's authoritarian crackdown following it. So now the committee wants to hold him in contempt of Congress. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley was on Fox's Jesse Waters Primetime, calling Fauci the biggest scam artist of COVID and maybe ever.
During COVID, while everybody else was sitting at home or sick, Fauci was getting rich. $1 million that guy got in cash prize money for himself during COVID, using his employees, using the federal government. This guy needs to be held in contempt.
There are still some Democrats who are praising Fauci, saying he saved lives with mask and vaccine mandates and orders for social distancing, even though others of his compatriots there have since said, yeah, we made all that crap up. And obviously, let's just generously say the verdict on the vaccines is mixed at best, and that's being as generous as I can be.
And again, not even looking at how this all started in the first place.
Yeah. And so I don't know what kind of, I'm not sure what kind of marketing and campaigning you're going to have by saying, I'm on Team Fauci at this point.
Dumb.
Yeah. I don't get it. And so there you have it. So we'll see what happens next week. That's going to be pretty interesting, actually, to see how that goes here. Let's see here. What else we have going on here? Illinois residents who no longer qualify for SNAP benefits are getting cash directly from taxpayers instead. KMOV's Morgan Harris has the story.
Governor J.B. Pritzker says a one-time payment of $400 will go to each eligible member of a household. It's part of the new program called Families Receiving Emergency Support for Hunger, or FRESH. The $70 million program is part of the governor's 2027 budget. If you are eligible for the extra payment, you will receive a notice in the mail.
That's the state is paying the money.
Correct. The state is just paying the money directly. If you no longer qualify, you did qualify for food stamps, but you no longer qualify, every eligible person, you're going to get $400 cash one time.
Is there any parameters as far as why you no longer qualify?
No, if you did qualify but you don't now, you're getting the money.
Why? Because what if you don't qualify because you got a job?
Because probably they think $400 is enough to buy a vote. My personal guess.
Well, I guess JB's got the money to throw around.
Yeah, except this time he's throwing around other people's money.
Well, I think he's used to it, so he just doesn't matter whether it's his or someone else's.
Yeah. Okay, the Trump administration announcing a new program to help military veterans become truck drivers. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy threatening any trucking company that is still hiring illegals. He was on Fox's The Will Cain Show.
We are going to come after any company that wants to hire illegals and drive down wages to get some fraudster in your company.
Okay, so veterans can already get an expedited trucking license, but this program will extend their eligibility from 1 year to 2 years. Move comes as the administration is cracking down on literally tens of thousands of truck drivers who are not Americans. Many of them, the immigrants, many of them illegal, as we now know from states like California and New Mexico and, of course, Minnesota.
And then you have to question whether they were properly tested, trained, vetted. Then they're, on the roads with the trucks. Okay, hunters, conservationists, this may interest you. The U.S. Department of Fish and Wildlife is asking for public comment on the Prairie Pothole Region wetlands. So our friends at Whistlepig Outdoors told me about this and gave me the heads up on this. While the region is just north of Missouri and then extends all the way into Canada, it's where a large percentage of waterfowl breed, so it affects hunting seasons throughout the entire Missouri and Midwest region. Some worry that the government is going to loosen regulations and protections of the natural habitats in that area. You can check out the Fish and Wildlife's department website for more information. But I got a text from Jason over Whistlepig. He goes, hey, this is a big deal to hunters. I'm like, okay. Yeah.
That's 94-1 territory, man. There's a lot of you out there, so just heads up on that. All right, another extra inning game, but this time the Cardinals lose. Final score at Busch Stadium yesterday was Cubs 4, Redbirds 2. Chicago won 3 of the 4 games of that series. Cardinals are back on the road tonight, starting a series with the Blue Jays in Toronto. First pitch is at the extremely specific 6:07.
Identity theft can cost more than you think. Drained investment accounts, stolen tax returns, lost wages, expenses for lawyers. It's a lot. That's why LifeLock is backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which covers up to $1 million for stolen funds, fees, and experts and lawyers, and out-of-pocket expenses. Don't face the burden of identity theft alone. Protect your future and finances with LifeLock. Join now. Save up to 30% off your first year with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. 1-800-LifeLock, promo code BECK. LifeLock.com. Terms to apply.
Point. Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
When insurance companies know you're represented by Under Law, they know Under is not going to let you be pushed around. Their reputation is built on years of courtroom battles. If you suffer an injury or damage to your property, serve the insurance company notice. You have Under Law on your side. A St. Louis firm you can trust to protect you at every term. Don't settle for less. You want to win? Believe me, Under wins. Under, O-N-D-R, underlaw.com.
JC's Wayback Machine.
Saturday is the 45th anniversary of the debut of MTV. We'll reminisce with VJ Kennedy. And this week in 1994, it was the first in a series of outdoor concerts at Busch Stadium, and you'll hear the only known recording of the first two songs that night with Billy Joel and Elton John. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9. On News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Mitch Thomason. Could peace break out in the Mideast? President Trump, with word of an agreement, would see Hamas lay down its arms in Gaza and Israel pull its troops back.
The president has announced a deal on social media, saying it will be carried out in structured phases. Trump says Hamas will disarm and Israel will withdraw its forces from Gaza. But many hurdles and conditions remain to wind down the war. Neither Hamas nor Israel has given any indication that a deal has been reached. The U.S.-backed ceasefire was reached 9 months ago, but negotiations between Israel and Hamas have deadlocked over the implementation of its second phase, including the disarmament of Hamas and the reconstruction of Gaza. Mike Hempen, Washington.
No reports of trouble with water quality among customers of more than 30 Minnesota water utilities hit by cyber attacks earlier this week. The culprit or culprits not known, but last month the FBI had warned that Iranian hackers have been looking at American water and wastewater systems. President Trump says time to get non-English speaking illegal alien truckers off America's highways. He says they're responsible for numerous deaths and injuries on the roads.
Just a few weeks ago, a Pennsylvania state trooper was killed by an illegal alien from Haiti driving a semi-truck. He was let in by Joe Biden and the open border policy of the Biden administration. By the way, today we have the safest border in the history of our country.
The president's announcing the Freedom Haulers Initiative. The aims to encourage veterans with experience driving big military vehicles to consider trucking as a career. And the president may withdraw the Attorney General nomination of Todd Blanche following until after the midterm elections. On Wall Street, Dow futures 270 points higher. The NASDAQ futures are up 319 points ahead of this morning's opening bell. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Weakening showers and thunderstorms could have an impact in spots this morning before fading midday into the afternoon. But another round of storms likely late this afternoon into this evening, and some of those storms could be strong with gusty winds, maybe even an isolated tornado. Turning steamy this afternoon, a high of 84. Storms make way for scattered showers overnight, down to 69 for the low. Unseasonably cool and mostly cloudy Saturday with scattered showers from time to time. A high tomorrow, only 76. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Travis Wilson here, State Representative of District 106 in St. Charles, Missouri's first state capital. As a 31-year resident of St. Charles County, I know the issues that are important to our residents, such as protecting women's sports, stopping harmful procedures on minors, and fighting the woke agenda. As your representative, I know what it takes to bring new opportunities to our community to ensure our children have a brighter future. It's been the honor of a lifetime for my family and me to represent you, and I humbly ask for your vote again on August 4th.
Paid for by Wilson for St. Charles. Merle Schneider, Treasurer.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
Peptides are everywhere right now for fat loss, healing, brain health, even longevity. But are they safe? Are they hype? Or are they the future of regenerative medicine? This week, we break down the truth about peptides, what works, what's misunderstood, and what you need to know. Don't miss it.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney. Saturdays at noon on News Talk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com. Mike Ferguson.
I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. I don't take no from anyone.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Ashlyn played along. Yay!
Welcome to the Kofifi dance, Ashlyn.
You're part of the club now.
All right, so here we go. Last weekend before Election Day, and also, this Jackson story out of Maine. We were just going through. It just gets weirder and weirder and weirder. Yeah. I want to throw that back out here in just a minute or so because you mentioned that there's an article on this in RedState on RedState.com.
Oh yeah.
So we'll get into this. It's just one of those. Okay, I wouldn't even say like gray areas. It's legal. Used to be common, but it's a different era.
Just unusual, a little awkward.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right, 7:06 right now. Obviously, intense week in the news as always now at this point. So here's what we do. Actually, at this point, is we do a little kind of look back on. Here's what the news sounded like this week on News Talk STL, and it's been kind of a wild one. I'm telling you.
Stand up to Donald Trump and ICE when they attack our workers, terrorize our neighbors, and threaten the freedoms generations of us fought to secure.
Raise your hand if you're voting yes on Amendment 5.
Oh, is there I'm neutral.
You're a voter. None of you are voting yes on Amendment 5.
I don't understand where they're going to cut the taxes and put other taxes yet.
As you alluded to, tariffs are taxes. Tariffs are taxes on the American people.
One of the first tasks Secretary Marco Rubio says has been assigned to him by President Trump is eliminating all U.S. aid dollars going to any foreign organization or group that promotes abortion.
He was extremely hawkish. I will tell you, he never saw a war that he didn't like.
St. Louis bread company is shipping out to Boston. The company, now better known as Panera, is planning a major move away from the gateway city.
Who the do you think you were for doing that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
You did all kinds of terrible things. It's because during the pandemic you got rich, didn't you? You got rich while people were dying, hundreds of thousands of Americans, over 1 million in the end.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
If you see Prop C is designed to give
the St. Louis County Council the ability to be able to give raises to their budget. I've never seen anything so blatant, so blatantly political, and such a blatant waste of taxpayers' money at a time when the council is saying we're broke.
Under the advice of my attorneys, I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution to refrain from answering your questions.
There was a little bit of a theme this week.
I'm sensing it. I'm sensing it.
You know, and that's one of the things is when we look back, and again, like that beginning one there with what's his name, Troy Jackson there in Maine.
Who sounds like Howard Dean's doing his little scream.
He's maybe a drunk Howard Dean.
Yeah.
For those who are old enough to remember Howard Dean.
He's not a good enunciator.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and actually that comes out in the video that we just shared on Red State too. So one of our compadres at Town Hall, Storm Paglia, who's kind of sort of my pseudo boss, he was out with Matt Foldy, who's with the Washington Reporter last night, and they found Troy Jackson at having dinner and asked him for dating advice with the camera rolling, and it was the same there as you hear in that soundbite. He sounds weird. He sounds kind of.
Okay, so let's talk about why that was kind of savage.
Yes.
Okay, now referencing the redstate.com article, which we should put up in our.
There's two of them now.
Yeah, there's two of them. Okay, so Troy Jackson literally is, well, it's not married, but he's with, and this is, I guess, life partner.
Yeah.
For whatever. I mean,
long-term life partner, mother of his children.
They've been together for decades.
Decades, yes.
Is actually his second cousin. Okay.
Correct.
Now, I want to be put everything in context here. That used to be fairly normal in the country like a century ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
That he would not be the first by any means. But
No.
it's been a while.
Yeah, and it's perfectly legal in all 50 states. It's just not common anymore. Most people don't know most of their second cousins.
I think I met mine.
I know a couple of mine.
I met mine like once or twice.
These are people that you share great-grandparents now with,
Right.
not grandparents. So, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily know them. So you could meet and date your second cousin and not even realize it was your second cousin. So I want to be fair about that, but it is a little unusual.
It sounds weird.
It gives people the heebie-jeebies.
Should it? I think probably.
I don't.
I mean, in 2026,
whether it should or shouldn't, it just does.
Yeah.
It just seems awkward.
Yeah. So, and so it's like, it's legal. I don't necessarily believe that everything that is legal is right. Not everything that's right is legal.
Right.
The same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But is that it's going to be the butt of a lot of jokes?
Yes.
Fair. I'll leave that up to you.
That's the reality. People are going to zero in on that because it is unusual. It
Right.
catches the attention. It invites a lot of mockery. And this guy, I think, invites a lot of mockery to begin with.
Oh, sure.
Because he sounds, he's the guy that's replacing the guy with a Nazi tattoo.
Right.
And he's got his own baggage on top of that. I mean, he's known to have a temper. There's been issues with him like throwing stuff at staff. I mean, there are issues in this guy's background too. I don't think he's stellar, and I don't think Susan Collins is quaking in her low heels.
No. And the thing is, though, had Maine Democrats found a candidate who was solid and center left like she frankly is, could they have made a run for that seat? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was the whole thought. I
Yeah.
think that's why they were so gung-ho and all in on Graham Plattner without really thinking it through, because they thought he's the answer to this. He's this like burly, like man's man guy, and this is the answer to what the Democratic Party needs, and he can run away with it against Susan Collins. I don't even know that I would have taken that for granted, but yeah.
Okay, so your political junkie lawyer brain jumped into gear when we were talking about this in that information segment, and the fact that he and his, I don't know what's his partner's name. I don't know her name. Whatever her name is.
What is it?
But here's the question: they're not actually married.
No, they are not legally married. They have been together for decades, as we said, but they are not legally married.
So then
that invites the question, like
on the finances, the personal disclosure for. If she has stuff that she owns that they don't own together, I don't know what the laws are in Maine, but would that potentially insulate some financial disclosures that other people would have to make if they were normally legally married?
Yeah.
I mean, these are going to be federal requirements, but not state.
Her name is Lana Pelletier. So that's one of the old names in Maine. I mean, that's the thing. Maine is a small state.
Yeah.
So a lot of those old families are kind of intermarried if you go back. So it's not really even that crazy. It is still kind of a small town. But it does raise those questions because I don't think that the regulations, laws that cover financial disclosures necessarily incorporate the idea of someone who's someone's life partner versus their actual legal spouse.
Right.
Again, there's no question. I mean, they've been a couple for decades. They have 2 grown sons together. That's no question.
It's what you would call a common law marriage.
Except for Maine doesn't recognize common law marriage.
Ah, okay.
So they are not married. So what are the disclosure rules? I don't know in the long run if it's going to really matter, to be honest. But, I know
a few couples who just whether it's objection to religious aspects or objection to the government, having the say in the license. I mean, I know people who have created a family and not actually gotten married.
Sure. Sure. I mean, it's not not uncommon at all. The question is when that comes up against financial disclosure regulations, because one of the big issues that's discussed in is like healthcare decisions, that sort of thing. That's where you normally see it. Is what rights does someone who's not legally married to someone but who has been with them their whole life or whatever? What do they have? This is kind of the reverse of that. What obligations in that situation do you have? And again, in the whole scheme of things, I'm not 100% sure how much that's going to end up mattering. I mean, obviously, he's going to be facing off against Susan Collins in November. It's August starting tomorrow. I don't know, but it does raise some interesting legal questions.
Right, yeah, and separate from the questions that the rest of the people are going to, at least for the moment, the flash in the pan is going to be, dude, you married your cousin?
Right.
Well, yeah, but second cousin, it's still in 2026. That's weird.
Yeah, if you guys want to, if you guys want some fun, I'm going to encourage you to go to Red State and check out the article by Rusty Weiss. It's titled "Watch Troy Jackson Squirms When Asked for Date Night Advice After Kissing Cousins Bombshell," because some of our folks at Town Hall were involved in the making of the video of asking Troy for dating advice.
Did he give good advice?
He did. Well, so the guy approached him and said, I got a friend who's going to be up in the Acadia area and wanted, he's going to be going out with his girlfriend and wanted to know, like, where's good places to go. You know what the most damning thing about what Troy Jackson said here? He couldn't name a good lobster restaurant.
In Maine?
In Maine.
That's like their thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that might be what ends up doing him in.
That's like going to, let's say, Kansas City, and somebody who wants to like be elected to office in Kansas City saying, "What's your favorite barbecue place?" And they go, I don't know, I don't really barbecue. I don't know anything about that. That you don't do that.
I think that might be what.
Or in St. Louis, you're like, "Hey, who's got good toasted ravs?" And you're like, "What's a toasted rav?" No, you don't want to. No, I'm like, I don't know. Go Google it or something.
I'm just saying that.
Yeah,
that might be the what does him in. All right, well, guess who's back in St. Louis? The guy who literally flipped off the people as he was supposed to, or that he was supposed to be serving. Sam Page's favorite doctor makes his return, and we'll tell you about that at 7:20.
Next. Larry Connor's USA.
The story behind the story. 400 ready to watch the newest Batman movie. The theater became a killing field.
Larry Connor's USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. News Talk STL is celebrating our 5th birthday. And we're giving away a limited edition News Talk STL America 250 t-shirts. It's exclusive, it's collectible, and it could be yours. Just head to newstalkstl.com to register.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, News Talk.
Been listening since day one. Happy birthday to my talk station.
5 years, happy birthday.
News Talk STL.
News Talk STL. Happy birthday to us, and good luck to you.
Bill, you're an old politician.
Yup, sure am.
So you know the old-timers warned that someone trying to sell you a pig in a poke was a con man.
Well, sure.
Well, no offense, Tom, but your politician's Amendment 5 is a pig in a poke, allowing politicians to raise our taxes without a vote of the people, and the politician's Amendment 4 takes away our power to do anything about it. Well, let's look at what's really inside Ford 5.
Oh, don't do that.
5 hits hardest seniors and those struggling financially with new taxes on services like doctor visits, in-home care, and rent. Sales taxes could more than triple. For up to 80% of Missourians, it's a tax hike. And Amendment 4 ends majority rule, allowing a minority of the most liberal statewide voters in one district to effectively end our power to stop corruption and out-of-control spending and taxing.
Slick plan, huh?
No, Tom. 4 and 5 are schemes that hurt citizens and transfer our power and our money to politicians and lobbyists. That's why I'm voting no on the politicians' Amendments 4 and 5, paid for by Missourians for fair governance.
Hey folks, Chris Cooper here, your financial friend with Serenity Wealth Management. You know, Tuesday, the 4th of August, we got to go to the ballots. We got to go and vote. We got to make sure we show up for the Show Me State because there's some big amendments on the move. Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Tune in, a couple of buddies, having some beers, talking about key amendments that do affect your financial future. Serenity Wealth Now social media outlets, or of course right here on News Talk STL. Sunday morning, 9 a.m. We will see you there.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Tuesday night.
Missouri decides 2026.
All the results and reactions from the Missouri State Primary.
You have to get out and vote.
From the voices you know and trust in St. Louis for election night coverage.
Amendment 4.
Amendment 5.
County executives.
Coverage begins Tuesday night at 7 on St. Louis's conservative voice.
Right here.
News Talk STL. Brought to you by Fast Signs in Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in House Springs, Gemini Wealth Group, and Freddie's Market.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
This app is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Thomas Dolby. She blinded me with Fauci.
Science.
Sorry, science.
TM.
The science. Did you know there was actually a lawsuit over his stage name?
Thomas Dolby?
Yeah. Because that's not his real name.
Is it Anthony Fauci?
Yeah, no, that's not his real name.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, he chose the name Dolby, which at the time was they made speakers and stereo systems and sound systems, and there was actually a lawsuit over his use of their name as a copyright thing, and I don't remember how it all worked out.
Wow.
But yeah,
I would think it might work to his favor because when you're talking about people's names, I mean, obviously there's a lot of overlap.
Oh yeah. Yeah, without a doubt.
So, yeah.
And if that were his real name, there's no case.
Right.
But that's the stage name that he picked.
So what?
Yeah, funny. All right, let's see here. The Anthony Fauci of St. Louis is back. We'll get to that here in just a couple of minutes. Okay, so who had the worst hot take from leftist punditry this week?
I can't wait.
A lot of this has to do with media coverage. Of course, they did the White House Correspondents' Dinner. They actually did that over the past weekend. Of course, and earlier in this week, there's a bunch of response to that. And I didn't pay much attention to it this week, especially, because it was over the weekend. And obviously, they rescheduled it after the would-be terrorist was caught trying to get in. So it was kind of a mess and debacle. Although our friends at the Media Research Center, they've got the question up. Who had the worst of the week? Here are this week's nominees.
Difficult for news organizations to tell the truth in this country. I experienced that firsthand.
The truth is, Acosta is an activist, not a journalist. But does he have the worst media quote of the week?
It was the worst.
Here's our contenders. Option number 1, the aforementioned Jim Acosta claims Trump wants reporters arrested.
They do want to put more reporters in jail, and they want to make it very difficult for news organizations to tell the truth in this country. I experienced that firsthand. But there's something sadistic about, there's a sadism in this, and that Donald Trump seems, and his people seem to really get off on grinding down the free press.
Option number 2, the WAPO's Philip Kennicott claims Trump wants to erase history in order to control the present and future.
If you can erase history in the material world, in the built world, you assert a great power to actually erase narratives in places like the Smithsonian. And if you have that power, then of course you can control the present and the future.
And option number 3, Jon Stewart slams the White House Correspondents' Dinner by claiming Trump is against free speech.
I don't need to see the cops and robbers getting along at a banquet honoring our penal code. You can celebrate the First Amendment without asking your opponent in that fight what he thinks.
The TDS is strong in that one. But you can vote for what you think is the worst. This poll is funded by our good friend James Jamero. And be sure to check out Newsbusters on Monday to find out which member of the media snagged the title for the MRC's Worst Media Quote of the Week.
All right, so the MRC on X, Twitter, that's where you're going to find that poll right now. See, this one's a little bit tough. I don't think there's a runaway leader on this one. Yeah,
there's not. Yeah, that is tough.
See, it is complicated because Donald Trump does absolutely go after media.
He does,
now,
but that's a two-way street.
Yeah, so he's arguing that he's punching back on it, but yeah, he absolutely does. And there are times I think Trump has crossed the line, but yeah. So, that was the interesting theme.
Yeah, and okay, so Acosta is such a drama queen that I have trouble, like, when he's talking, like, actually listening to what he's saying because I'm just, like, so annoyed by him. But his premise that there's this sort of, well, first of all, that they want to put journalists in jail.
Yeah, that's never been a thing. Now, I guess unless you're going to argue if they're not giving up a source. That sort of thing. I mean,
yeah, but even then, I mean, the Obama administration went after James Rosen. There were like definitely.
We don't talk about things like that.
Okay,
it's okay.
So it's factually untrue. Plus, he's like lifting up the drama quotient with the sadism and that sort of thing.
Did you notice he was saying things like sadism, get off, grinding? I'm like,
yes, he was definitely sexualizing his answer.
Yeah,
that was probably intentional to get more attention to it because. Oh my gosh, there's no bigger pick-me than Jim Acosta.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's just lonely. Does he not have a second cousin running around or something?
I don't know. Oh, no, I'm not going to look. Yeah, so that one to me, I think, is the distinctive one. I don't even know who the guy was in the middle.
The Washington Post guy. Yeah.
I don't remember what he said.
That was the one about erasing history and the Smithsonian and
that's the projection thing.
See, and that's the thing is the reality is that the left has been rewriting and reframing history for decades.
Yes, and this is the pushback to that.
Right.
Now it's the bad thing.
Right. Mm-hmm. And the Smithsonian as an institution has been compromised over the past 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
With that, and you look at what we're pushing back on, like for instance, public schools, public education establishment has been rewriting and reframing the academy in this country has been reframing it for generations.
Right.
So now there's pushback and say, okay,
they don't like it.
Yeah, if we're going to have a battle over who writes the history books, and we're going to have a battle over who writes the narrative, well, then we're going to have a battle over it. And I don't think either side necessarily wants the objective truth. I think it's like, well, if you're gonna be biased and reframe it, then we're going to meet you and be biased and reframe it, and then may the best rewriters win,
right.
And that's where we're at. Nobody's really going for truth.
Yeah, and then Jon Stewart, who occasionally makes sense. I find myself agreeing with some of his points that he makes. I don't even really feel like I understand what his point was.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't have opposing viewpoints at a pro First Amendment free speech event?
Yeah, see, that's why I think Jon Stewart gets my vote for worst of the week not because it was so antagonistic, but because it was so nonsensical.
Yeah, I'm torn. The guy in the middle, I'm kind of done with.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with Acosta just because he's such a drama queen, and because he had to make it ooh and gross.
Yeah,
and
he kind of got weird with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there it is. So the MRC on X on Twitter. and you can vote right there. And I think they've got the video clips of each of these as well on there. So you can do that. And then Monday, check them out again to see who won, lost, or lost one.
However you
want to
put
look
it.
at it. Yep. Okay, a few minutes left here. Anthony Fauci of St. Louis is back.
Yeah.
I did not see this one coming. Okay, so, and I'm a little surprised. I would not have been surprised at all if Tashara Jones had made this decision in the city.
No.
I'm a little bit surprised just because it's Kara Spencer, who, while I disagree with her on a whole lot of stuff, I think overall, and I've interviewed her a few times, I've met her a few times, she seems pretty level-headed, even though we disagree on stuff. You can be very level-headed and a logical person, just come to a different conclusion as me. That can happen, just so everybody knows, and of you. But this doesn't seem like a level-headed, smart decision, and it's just inviting trouble because Faisal Khan, who left in disgraced and basically run out of St. Louis County, a blue county, under public pressure because of his handling of the COVID everything, she's hired him to be the city health director.
My instinct on this is that there's nothing ideological about this, and it's a pure practicality move that, as I was referring to it earlier, may be a desperation move. It may just be difficult to attract quality candidates to that role. I don't know what the pay scale is. St. Louis has a lot of issues, so people aren't necessarily clamoring to move here. Khan at least has a connection to the area, so he may have just been like the best option available.
Boy, how bad are you if that's the best option?
Yeah.
You see, and I hope you're right.
Well,
that it's not
except for
ideological.
That's sad. No, I can't imagine why it would be.
Yeah.
Like there's really no politically. There's no there for Spencer to be leaning into that. So that's why it doesn't strike me as something that's a political ideological move.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a practical move.
I don't see an upside for her. I don't think that leftists in St. Louis City are going to raise an eyebrow about Faisal Khan. Everybody who was still stinging and upset about the way that the authoritarianism happened, because St. Louis City was as bad as everybody else. We got emails from the health department when this station was in the city. We were at Union Station to start for the first 3 years of our existence.
Yeah,
and we got the orders. Everybody there must wear masks, and we basically went no. We're on camera, and I said it over and over on the air. Hey, Tashara, hey, come get me.
Right.
Whoever the filter, I'm on camera. I'm live. I'm telling you right now, I'm disobeying your orders, and I'm not going to stop.
Not playing that.
Now we never heard anything from them. They were there.
No.
So, I don't know that it's an unforced error because people in the city, I don't think, are as worried about it. But it just shows you that it's not going to get better in the city because of this decision. It's just a bad move.
It's not. Well, we now have our southern border under control, but is another European nation refusing to learn from our experience? We're going to explain what that question is all about at 7:35.
Watch out, boy, she'll chew you up. Oh, here she comes. She's a man-eater. Oh, here she comes. Watch out, boy, she'll chew you up. Oh, here she comes. She's a man-eater.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Weakening showers and thunderstorms could have an impact in spots this morning before fading midday into the afternoon. But another round of storms likely late this afternoon into this evening, and some of those storms could be strong with gusty winds, maybe even an isolated tornado. Turning steamy this afternoon, a high of 84. Storms make way for scattered showers overnight, down to 69 for the low. Unseasonably cool and mostly cloudy Saturday with scattered showers from time to time. The high tomorrow only 76. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Larry Connor's commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
If I've told you once, I've told you 111 times. That sets the stage for what I'm about to do. I'm going where no man wants to go, no sane man nor woman. I'm going inside Dr. Fauci's mind. Warning, this might not be suitable for any age. This might trigger you. Here we go. Buckle up. In front of the U.S. Senate Committee, Dr. Fauci asked questions on every time he answered, I'm taking the Fifth Amendment on the advice of counsel. He didn't really need to even hear the question. He already had an answer. He was not going to answer anything. On the advice of counsel, I'm taking the Fifth Amendment. What was Dr. Fake thinking each time he took the Fifth and wanted to be hit with another question? He, again, really did not need to hear any of the questions. He already had the answer. On the advice of counsel, 111 times. But inside his brain, what was happening? Was he recounting all the money he made during COVID, which was hurting you? Was he devising new ways to spread another virus? Was he... wait, I'm sorry. I cannot continue this exercise. It's just too damn scary.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Spring weather has everyone sneezing, even inside their home or building. Instead of saying Gesundheit, call Wellington Environmental to perform air tests to determine if mold levels are too high. Gesundheit is the same as saying bless you after someone sneezes, the German word meaning wishing you good health. Wellington Environmental can perform air testing that is simple, fast, and can identify issues keeping you from having good health. Wellington does the same for hospitals and nursing homes for indoor concerns. Give them a call. It's simple. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. Tell Cindy, I need air sampling. They've seen it all. They can help you. Next time you hear Gesundheit, think Wellington. Wellington Environmental. Be well with Wellington.
State Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, Sunday nights at 7 on News Talk STL. Hear all the behind-the-scenes stories about what the State Freedom Caucus is doing across the country, directly from the legislators and the people that are doing it. State Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, this Sunday night at 7 with your host, Tim Jones. State Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, now Sunday nights at 7 on News Talk STL.
Steve EHLMANN leads. EHLMANN enacted a data center moratorium. He doubled our parkland, built new roads, prioritized safe schools and streets, eliminated the county's real property tax. EHLMANN for St. Charles County. Bill Eigel misleads. Eigel talks but didn't pay his property taxes, but voted to give tax credits to the company behind the St. Charles data center, and was rebuked by Trump's lawyer for scamming donors.
Paid for by the committee to elect Steve EHLMANN, Michael Summer Jr., Treasurer.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Jesse is a friend. Yeah, I know he's been a good friend of mine.
I saw this performed live a few weeks ago.
I know you did.
Yeah, over at Riverport.
Good old Rick Springfield.
Rick Springfield opening up for Sammy Hagar.
Nice.
It was a lot of fun.
And a good show.
It was a great show. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Very cool.
7:36 right now. All right, we've got Susie here, producer Ashlyn filling in for Jerome today. I'm Mike. Illegal immigration surges. That's not just for our southern border anymore.
Not just for the U.S.
You would think that other nations would look at what we've done to secure our border and all of the residual benefits that's happened because of that and learn from us.
You would think.
I would be thinking wrong, though.
You would be.
Kyle Becker has written about this on this little website that Susie knows about called redstate.com.
Heard of it.
The article is Spain is falling. Socialist prime minister begged to call a national emergency as migrants overrun border. And once again, you can find that on redstate.com. And it was written by Kyle Becker, who joins us right now. And so, Kyle, I know you're working on a follow-up to this right now. Susie was just letting me know. The video is is remarkable in that you got thousands, and some would say over 10,000, basically illegal aliens into this part of Spain, coming from Morocco, coming from Algeria, and it's just this giant wave. It's like this illegal immigration version of Normandy or D-Day that's happening. What do we know as far as where things stand right now and what's causing this surge?
Well, it's interesting, Mike and Susie, thanks for having me on. There is a surge of approximately 60,000 illegal migrants coming into Ceuta, and there's another city, Mejia, on the African coast that's seeing a major surge of these illegal migrants, they're being called. And the video that's coming out is the most engaging of everything, because I think a lot of people don't really understand the politics of it. I think a lot of people don't really understand the situation. I was just in Spain, not too far from the Strait of Gibraltar, which is geographically impacted by this situation, this crisis that's near Morocco. It's on the other side of the Strait of Gibraltar from the Spanish mainland, and it's been in control of Spain since about the 17th century. But the population of Ceuta, it's only about 70,000 to 80,000 usually, but it has seen a surge of about 70% of the population added to it. Another 60,000 have overwhelmed it, and we're seeing looting, violent clashes, and now reports of 18 dead, according to Fox News. And they have some video of that makes it all very credible, that a lot of people are getting hurt by these open border policies. It all looks very harrowing. And it's a reminder to us about what happens when socialist governments get in control. They're turning a blind eye. Ursula von der Leyen of the EU is trying to run some public relations smokescreen over it, as if her policies haven't added to the situation, hasn't encouraged this sort of mass migration. And it appears to have been coordinated on Facebook. There were about 5 Facebook groups reportedly shut down. Widely reported that they were played a part. It's hard to assess exactly or concretely how much they added to this, because, well, the socialist prime minister there, Pedro Sanchez, had just met with the Algerian president days before. And, of course, the Algerians, they have unleashed a lot of migrants into there. There are reports of them releasing about 3,000 criminals. It just seemed very familiar to us in the United States after, what Venezuela did with us before, well, Trump and, a special ops team, solved that situation. So this all looks very familiar as part of the socialist playbook. I agreed, with, comparisons of this to like a DSA type playbook, that no borders, there's no ICE there in Ceuta. There's no military that is actually securing the situation sent by Sanchez. He refused the state of emergency, as we reported at Red State yesterday. So,
Kyle,
Yes,
it sounds like the government, response, the governmental response has been anemic at best, if not, worse. But what about the Spanish population? What about, the rest of the citizens of Spain? How are they reacting to this onslaught?
It's very interesting. I only saw hundreds gathered in protest at Ceuta with a video that made that credible as a report. And just from what I know from being in Spain, there is, some tension, it seems, between all of the African migrants and the proud Spanish population. As you know, it has a very rich, I don't want to use, cliches, but a very interesting and complex history of Muslim migrants, of course, in the Andalusian region, and of course, it's these people had to live side by side for centuries. But there's a lot of tension that's being sparked by the socialist government there, and whether or not the Spanish population comes out in a nationalist show of pride, I'll believe it when I see it. I was over there; it was quite woke. There were there were pride banners all over the place. I mean, like, how much pride do you need, guys? I mean, we get it. We're fine. We understand what you're doing. It's legal. It's okay. Whatever. We don't need all these pride banners.
Hey,
but they're
Kyle,
everywhere.
just want to point out, all of these Muslim majority country immigrants who are illegally immigrating, they're going to love all the pride stuff, I'm sure.
Oh yes, they're big fans, Mike.
No culture clash there at all.
Yeah.
No. So it's interesting to see people who profess to be tolerant and want people to be very liberal-minded about social issues, including what we were talking about, sexual identity and so forth. But they're importing tens of thousands, if not, across the European continent, millions of people who are extremely intolerant to a high degree of that type of liberal open-mindedness, and it's going to be more than interesting to see how the political dynamics of this play out over time, because it's hard for me not to conceive of Islamic localities trying to assert authority over their local policies and to have, rigid enforcement of Muslim doctrine. This tolerance does not historically extend in both directions. So it's hard to understand, except to the point that socialists are trying to cause cultural destruction, social division. It's really hard to reconcile this from an objective point of view.
We're visiting with Kyle Becker from redstate.com, and Kyle, we just got a couple minutes left here. So what's the spark that surged all this? Because what you're talking about, basically an invasion, essentially, and we're looking at some of the video right now, just overwhelming law enforcement in so many areas. And by the way, those footholds, and that's not hyperbole. You go to some areas in Michigan and Minnesota, and even New York City, we're seeing areas where even law enforcement is like, okay, no go, they're running it there, and that sort of thing. And the Sharia is getting more of a foothold in concentrated areas. So whether or not that spreads in the United States remains to be seen. But what sparked this? Because we're not talking about a few boatloads. We're talking about tens of thousands of people all at once doing essentially what looks like an invasion.
Yeah, the only breadcrumbs on that is just the diplomatic relations between Sanchez and the African leaders that has been going on. This isn't the first crisis. You go back to 2021 and also 2023. They've had ongoing relations, obviously, between the Spanish government and the African governments, Morocco and Algeria. And of course, for me, the high-profile meeting of Sanchez with the Algerian president is very suggestive of coordination, because this could be perceived as an act of war. It could be interpreted as an invasion, and it's unlikely that these African countries would want to invite that type of military repercussion simply by unleashing tens of thousands of migrants. But this needs to be, nailed down by reporting. It's a fluid situation. All we can do is follow the breadcrumbs and, maybe pour through the diplomatic documentation of, Sanchez and his, interior minister and other ministers, diplomatic relations and cables and so forth. And that's the way to really document whether a green light was given or not. All you can do is just look contextually that this looks very much like an invasion. From all the videos, these are military-aged men. These are not women and children, contrary to CNN reportage, simply looking for bread. These are military-aged men who are overrunning the city, that are throwing rocks, that are looting buildings, that are terrorizing the local population. And it's hard to see as a NATO country why these African leaders would simply be, in the dark about activities that were being organized on Facebook, according to reports, and 10,000s of their own nationals simply coordinating to surge into a foreign territory. They did not control it on their side, that's for sure, Mike and Susie. They there's a certain amount of complicity when you don't take action, and I think it certainly looks from these African and so Spanish governments that this is coordinated. But I have to look for the smoking gun evidence of that.
And obviously, this is going to be a developing story over the next several days as well. So you're following this, obviously writing about that at redstate.com. Kyle Becker, people want to follow you, whether over the next several days or not. What's the way to do that? Because I'm sure you'll be posting the updates when they're published.
The easiest is just at Kyle N.A. Becker at X, and pretty much know about reporting there.
Yep.
You got it. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate
it.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks.
All right. A new federal program wants to replace illegal immigrant truck drivers, speaking of illegal immigration, with one specific group of Americans. We're going to tell you who just ahead. That's in the news dump at 7:50.
The radical left let crime and drugs pour into our nation, and they let biological men into girls' sports. But here in Missouri, if there's a problem, we fix it. That's why Ann Wagner's fixing the mess the radical left made and delivering for us. Wagner voted to ban biological men from competing in girls' sports, and she voted to fund the police and provide more resources for Border Patrol agents, keeping our families, communities, and children safe. And Ann Wagner didn't stop there. In Congress, Wagner passed the largest working-class tax cut in American history, kept big government out of our business, protected our way of life, and ensured our communities remain safe. That's why Ann Wagner's endorsed by the Missouri Farm Bureau and Missouri Fraternal Order of Police. Vote Ann Wagner for Congress on August 4th.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
Your trees do a lot for you. Shade, beauty, curb appeal, but are they safe? Clever Tree Service has been protecting St. Louis homes and landscapes for over 20 years. Pruning, trimming, removal, stump grinding, even 24/7 emergency storm service. Fully insured, eco-friendly, and always focused on you. From Kirkwood to Chesterfield, Webster Groves to Wildwood, your neighbors trust Clever Tree Service. Visit clevertreeservice.com for your free quote today.
In Missouri, your home works hard to keep up with the weather. Johnson Heating and Cooling works harder. We're a local family-owned company specializing in residential heating and cooling, service, repair, replacement, maintenance, even new construction. Our NATE certified technicians and trained comfort specialists keep families comfortable across Wentzville, O'Fallon, St. Charles, and beyond. Call 636-332-4141 or johnson-heatingandcooling.com.
When Donald Trump needs conservative votes to help pass his agenda for Missouri, Representative Tricia Burns never answers the call. Tricia Burns has missed 370 votes. Burns is bucking President Trump's priorities. Burns did not vote to stop DEI initiatives, prevent China from owning Missouri land, defund Planned Parenthood, and Burns did not vote to ban boys from girls' sports. Tricia Burns, not showing up for Missouri and President Trump. Instead, Tricia Burns spends her time pulling pranks on the Suicide Prevention Hotline. Yes, you heard that right. Tricia Burns lied to the police and staged a fake suicide emergency. She sent a series of messages to the hotline and said she, quote, had a gun to her head, end quote. When she got caught, she said there'd be no consequences because she's a politician. By August 4th, vote to show Tricia Burns that there are consequences to being bad at your job. Cut the Bull PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
Republican Chris Sander is the true fiscal conservative running for state representative. Chris Sander says it's time to stop Travis Wilson giving away hundreds of millions of dollars in state tax credits to special interests, billions of tax dollars given away to private developers of empty office buildings in St. Louis and sports stadiums in Kansas City. Chris Sander will work to bring our tax dollars home to St. Charles. We need a representative in our corner, not another lobbyist for St. Louis or Kansas City. Please vote for Chris Sander, Republican for state representative, the true fiscal conservative.
Paid for by Sander for Missouri. Patricia Van Dyne, Treasurer.
It's a brand new show on News Talk STL. JC's Sunday Showgram.
This week, I'll tell you the story of how my debut in St. Louis back in '84 almost ended after 2 months. They almost whacked me. Plus, this week in '69, Charlie Manson's pals wreaked havoc in Southern California. And we'll tell you how a St. Louis TV reporter busted the case wide open. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
Sunday morning, 7 to 9. Then podcast each Monday on newstalkstl.com.
Very danceable themed this week.
Very.
Everything's been really danceable.
Very much so.
Yeah, even the rock stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, 7:52 right now. Here's what's going on. Sam Page's favorite lockdown specialist returning to the loo. And a new federal program, as Susie was just referring to, wants to push illegals out of the driver's seats of tractor trailers. We'll tell you who the government wants to push into those seats. And Cardinals, they played a baseball game again last night. All right, 7:53 right now. Let's go and do another news dump.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Mario's Donut Restaurant. The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
I forgot my normal breakfast thing, and now I hear about Mario. Now I want to go up to Mugi Road and get a Mario's donut.
I go right by.
But if I get an omelet with egg whites at the same time, then that's healthy.
It balances it out.
That's the definition of a balanced diet,
Completely.
right?
Yeah.
One egg white omelet and then a donut. That's a balanced diet, right? That's how that works,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Just saying. Okay.
Totally.
Man, I hope Nutrition Stop wasn't listening right now. They're going to have to correct me on that. Okay. Which is actually just down the road from a little bit. Okay. The Anthony Fauci of St. Louis is back. Disgraced former St. Louis County Health Department Director Faisal Khan has been hired to lead the city of St. Louis's health department. Khan was Sam Page's point person during the COVID era and led the charge for restrictions and mask orders and closures and stay-at-home orders from the government. Many of those were later overturned by courts, and public pressure eventually led to his resignation in 2022. Khan was most recently the public health director for Seattle and King County, Washington.
Can I just add something on that?
Please do.
I was looking it up to see if there was any scuttlebutt out of Seattle on what, his tenure there. And I went to the Seattle Times and I clicked on it and was able to read it for about 3 seconds till I got the ad to subscribe. Sign up for equity and inclusion. That's the Seattle Times subscription.
That's their
Sign up for equity and inclusion.
Well, it is Seattle.
A weekly roundup of stories that explore the fault lines of race, gender, disability, religion, and sexual orientation.
Of course, because why not?
Just so you know.
Yeah. Okay. Republicans still reacting to Anthony Fauci's testimony. Anthony Fauci, the Faisal Khan of Washington, D.C. Okay, so where Anthony Fauci took the Fifth Amendment and pled that over 100 times instead of answering questions about the origins of COVID-19 and also the government reaction to it. Josh Hawley was on Fox's Jesse Waters prime time saying that Fauci is, quoting, the biggest scam artist of COVID, going on to say maybe ever.
During COVID, while everybody else was sitting at home or sick, Fauci was getting rich. $1 million that guy got in cash prize money for himself during COVID, using his employees, using the federal government. This guy needs to be held in contempt.
And it looks like there's going to be a contempt hearing this coming week in the U.S. Senate. And, of course, Joe Biden issued a preemptive pardon to Fauci near the end of his term, covering several years, but doesn't cover what happens right now. Yeah. Okay, so here's what's interesting regarding a new Trump administration initiative. They announced it this week, announced it yesterday, actually, to help military veterans become truck drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a shortage of truck drivers.
We do.
You're like, how can we possibly have thousands and thousands of illegal aliens driving trucks? Well, there's a shortage.
Yes.
A big one. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy threatening any trucking company that continues to hire illegals. He was on Fox's The Will Cain Show.
We are going to come after any company that wants to hire illegals and drive down wages.
to get some fraudster in your company.
Okay, so among the Freedom Haulers is what they're calling the program, Freedom Haulers. Veterans can already get an expedited trucking license, but the new program will extend their eligibility from 1 year to 2 years. All right. Quick note, hunters, conservationists, this may interest you. I got a text from my friends at Whistle Pig Outdoors on this one. U.S. Department of Fish and Wildlife is asking for public comment on the Prairie Pothole Region wetlands. Now, if you're a hunter, especially a waterfowl hunter, you know what that is.
Yes.
Okay, so here's what's going on, is that the region being actually just north of this area, it's a huge area, extends into Canada. This is where a large percentage of waterfowl breed and hatch their eggs. And so basically the continuing supply of waterfowl, and of course that's all, managed with conservation departments. So some are concerned that the government could loosen regulations and protections for the natural habitats in the area, allowing things like farming and development and stuff like that. Check out the Fish and Wildlife Department's website for more information. Thank you to Jason at Whistle Pig for giving us a heads up on that. Cardinals lose in extra innings last night. 10 innings. Final score was Cubs 4, Redbirds 2.
Boo.
That means the Cardinals won the Chicago won 3 of the 4 games over the Cardinals. Cardinals are back on the road tonight. They start a series with the Blue Jays north of the border. First pitch, 6:07.
Everyone deserves a safe place to call home. Cedar Oak in High Ridge is a unique ministry providing more than just shelter. They offer hope, support, and a compassionate community for individuals rebuilding their lives. Since 2023, they've helped those facing housing challenges, especially when addiction has been part of their journey. At Cedar Oak, you'll find personalized care, empowerment, and real long-term solutions. Take the next step. Visit cedaroak.org. Cedar Oak, where new beginnings take root.
At Body of Health, we're a small but mighty family operation with big ambitions for your health. I'm Helene Tobler, and I'm jazzed about how our MRI-grade body composition analyzer is putting personalized health and wellness on steroids. It helps me and Dr. Tobler, that's my husband, refine the advice we give to help you feel better and live longer. Body of Health, trusted, discerning, affordable health care the way it ought to be. Learn more at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpets sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
When the storm hits and a tree comes down, you need someone you can trust right now. OLI Outdoor Services in Godfrey is on call 24/7 for emergency tree removal, trimming, stump grinding, and land clearing. Serving Illinois and Missouri with licensed, insured professionals and over 200 years of combined experience. Tree removal starting at just $2.99. Free estimates, plus financing. Visit OLIOutdoorservices.com or call 1-888-5-SIGN.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. Amit Thomason. Socialist government policies and a Spanish Supreme Court ruling have thrown open the migration floodgates in Spain.
Spain has deployed the military to Ceuta after thousands of people breached the border with Morocco. At least 9 people have died. A member of Spain's Civil Guards officers says it's absolute chaos. Video footage shows crowds of people, mainly walking the water, many with flags at a leash, walking onto land. A human rights official says the Tarajal border was opened under unusual circumstances and people crossed. This man, Salad, crossed the border.
We don't have a good life in Morocco. We don't have good medicine.
To reach Ceuta, located on the northern African coast, many migrants often swim from Morocco.
Correspondent Ed Donahue says the migrant death toll is now up to 34. President Trump once again urging Europe to reverse course or risk its own demise. No comment yet from Israel on a proposal aimed at bringing peace to Gaza. The president's International Board of Peace unveiling a plan for Hamas to lay down its arms and Israel to pull back its troops. President Trump focusing on highway safety following a rash of deadly or serious injury accidents.
President Trump announced the Freedom Haulers Initiative, focused on commercial driver's license and highway safety.
We've already removed more than 24,000 non-English speakers from behind the wheel. We've also forced states to cancel more than 28,000 commercial driver's licenses. Today, we're also taking action to replace these unqualified migrant truck drivers with American veterans.
Officials say the goal is to raise safety standards on American highways and prioritize qualified drivers. Willie Nelson, Los Angeles.
Ahead of this morning's opening bell on Wall Street, stock futures higher. The Dow futures are up 160 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 221 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Lenny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu. My Computer Career, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
What happens when citizens begin to fear the very agencies created to protect them? This weekend, the America 250 film series presents Police State. Dinesh D'Souza examines intelligence, law enforcement, and the warning signs of government power turned inward. Watch Saturday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Salem News Channel.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Weakening showers and thunderstorms could have an impact in spots this morning before fading midday into the afternoon. But another round of storms likely late this afternoon into this evening, and some of those storms could be strong with gusty winds, maybe even an isolated tornado. Turning steamy this afternoon, a high of 84. Storms make way for scattered showers overnight, down to 69 for the low. Unseasonably cool and mostly cloudy Saturday with scattered showers from time to time. A high tomorrow, only 76. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Travis Wilson here, State Representative from District 106 in St. Charles, Missouri's first state capital. I wanted to remind everyone that we have a crucial primary election coming up on Tuesday, August 4th. No excuse, in-person voting has already begun, and I'd appreciate your vote to continue my service for the great people of St. Charles. For more information on early voting or to learn more about me and the important issues facing Missouri, visit me on Facebook at Wilson for St. Charles. Thank you, and may God continue to bless the state of Missouri.
Paid for by Wilson for St. Charles. Merle Schneider, Treasurer.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The House is on recess. We'll ask Dr. and Congressman Bob Onder if Dr. Fauci perjured himself this week at 420.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Big guy, one of the biggest in the world.
Susie Moore.
Do you think he's ready?
He's not ready.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm.
Get up, St. Louis.
I have a feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be blamed for everything.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Tuesday, obviously, the big day, and I still say that this race is one of, if not the most important in the entire region, and that is the race for St. Louis County Executive. The reality is that the Republican primary is going to decide who's going to lead St. Charles County over the next 4 years. Steve Ehlmann, the current county executive, joins us right now asking for a renewal of the gig and to stay on for 4 more years. So, Steve, appreciate you being on the program here. A lot of ground to cover here on this. First, I want to go to the decision that was made this week. The county council unanimously voting to basically zero out the county's part of the property tax. So when people get their property tax bills, it's going to say 0 on that part. Now, I was shown some property bills from somebody else who lives there, and there has been zeroed out before on the property tax. So what specifically is changing? Were there people who were getting a little bit of their property tax bill from the county government itself and they just won't now, or is this a continuation?
Mike, this is a culmination of a process that started even before I became county executive. As you know, we've had a Republican majority for a long time in St. Charles County, and we've been growing, and we get more businesses, and therefore we get more activity and more sales tax. And over the years, as the county council has seen more sales tax come in, we have cut our real property tax a little bit each year. And 11 years ago, we got it down to 0. So if people will check their tax bill, they send that check once a year to the county collector of St. Charles County. But St. Charles County gets 0 of that real property tax for our general revenue purposes. Now, we still got a little bit of personal property tax. And remember a few years ago when everybody got sticker shock when they got their assessment on their car because the COVID epidemic had caused car prices to just go through the roof? We went ahead and froze the amount of personal property tax that we collected. We lowered the rate so we didn't collect any more than the year before. So we've had a freeze on for 3 years. And again, the economy has been going well. We've been getting more sales tax. So we took the final step and we totally eliminated the personal property tax that goes to that actually goes to county government. Now, not to confuse anyone here. I mean, your school district, your fire district, your ambulance district, it's up to them what they're going to do on their personal property tax rate. But we are out of the personal property tax business. We are out of the real property tax business, and we're able to do that because of the growth that the county has seen and the increased sales tax that have been coming in.
Okay, so just a technical question there. Then I've got another follow-up here. Is this a decision for this coming year, or is this assuming this is going to be the permanent rate?
We every year you have to set the rate.
Okay.
Once you lower it, it's very, very difficult to raise it. You'd have to go back and in some cases get permission to raise it again. And this is for this year. You set the rates only after the assessor has done with all the assessments and so forth. And will set the rate that will be on the bill that people will get this November.
Yeah. Okay.
And it should show 0.
Okay, so Lynn, let me ask you about, obviously, property taxes have been a big part of the campaign, and your opponents, particularly Bill Eigel, have been driving the county government needs to zero out property taxes, and I think he would love to see the whole thing done, and there's questions about that. But we had some listeners and some viewers say, well, wait a minute, this announcement comes right before the campaign. Is this an issue that's been driven by the campaign and the campaign debates?
No, I think that's the point I was trying to make. This is the culmination of a trend and things that have been going on for the last 2 decades. And it's just kind of the final step. We can't do this until the assessor has finished his work, which happened only recently. And we have to do this by September. We did it in July.
We are visiting with St. Charles County Executive Steve EHLMANN, obviously, as you know, running for re-election. And, of course, the whole driving factor of this, as you've mentioned a couple of times, Steve, would be the development, would be the growth that's happening in the county. And so what's before you and the opponents who want to take your spot is what's the best way to grow, because I think you could be anti-development, I guess, if you wanted, but I don't think you can stop it in St. Charles County. So when you look at what's ahead, what are the decisions the next term, the county executive next term, be it you or Bill or Jason, whoever it's going to be, what is it that they're going to have to lead the county into doing as the general approach to development? Because the development of 2028, 2030 is going to be different than the questions of the development of 2000 or 1995.
Well, I think some people are forgetting, this is a Republican primary, and we're Republicans, and we believe in the market, all right? And to a large extent, the market is going to determine how much growth occurs. What we've got to decide is where the growth should be, what kind of growth it should be. And I think, in the 20 years that I've been involved in county government, 23 years county director of administration, we have spent zero money advertising to try to get people to move to St. Charles County. In fact, when people do try to move out here, we have a lot of people show up and say they don't want that growth. And in some places and sometimes they're absolutely right. I'm not one of these people that is in some sort of contest with St. Louis County somehow, trying to get bigger than St. Louis County someday. We will never be anywhere near as populous as St. Louis County. 43% of St. Charles County is floodplain, which means you can't develop that. The entire Femisage watershed is hilly and rocky and forested. That's never going to be developed with subdivisions. But there are areas, mainly in the Darden Creek flood watershed, that can be developed for subdivisions. And the BECKER Creek Water District has built a sewage treatment plant, and they've built that with the assumption that the area is going to grow because that's how they're going to pay off the bonds to pay it. Now, that area could be developed in the county. The problem has been that nobody has been coming to the county for the last 20 years because they can get a better deal in the cities. Okay, and a lot of those areas are being annexed into the cities voluntarily by the people who own the property. So the real question here is, it's a very legitimate question, but who should it be directed to? The apartments are a good example. The county council has approved one apartment complex in the last 19 years. Okay, if there have been too many apartments, it's been done by the cities. We can take the blame for 1.5% of the apartments that are built. The rest were all built in the cities. So this is an issue that the county can control, but doesn't have total control over. And my opponent, thinks that we ought to go ahead and use our transportation dollars to somehow coerce the cities to do things that he thinks they should do. And that has been the biggest issue facing the county executive since we created the position, transportation. And we've got a great system going here in which we have a transportation sales tax, which was approved by 78% of the voters the last time we asked them. And that transportation sales tax is divided up by a county road board with representatives from the city, the county, the unincorporated areas. And the way the statute's written, the way the ordinance is written, that group simply makes a recommendation to me. I can change it if I want. I send it to the council. They can change it if they want. What we have done the last 20 years, every recommendation that's made by that road board, which is composed of people from throughout the county, every recommendation that's been sent to me, I have sent to the council without change, and the council has approved without change. Now, if we start playing politics with transportation money to tell the cities what they should or shouldn't do, I I guarantee you we won't get 78% the next time we ask the people about that tax. So there's certain things, you remember we were fighting like heck. The county was fighting St. Peter's over floodplain development and over TIFs. We were in the Supreme Court. But nobody ever considered the idea that we should somehow use transportation funding as a leverage to get the cities to do what we wanted them to do.
All right, County Executive Steve EHLMANN, obviously the primary election, which, let's be honest, this is going to decide who leads St. Charles County over the next 4 years, happening on Tuesday. People want to check in the website, social media, Steve, because yours has really kind of come to life in the last several weeks. Where do they get in touch with you if they've got more questions? Because we didn't have time to get into, crime and public safety and data centers and apartments and all that kind of stuff.
SteveEHLMANN.com.
Easy enough. All right, Steve, we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks, Mike. It's always fun. Thanks.
You got it. All right. And by the way, on Wednesday, the day after the election, we have all kinds of election night coverage that night right here at News Talk STL. Details are at newstalkstl.com. The next day, the day after, we're going to be assessing all of those results. And it looks like we are going to have the winner of that St. Charles County primary race with us. Whoever that's going to be, we're going to get a conversation with that person right after the election itself here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Donald Trump needs conservative votes to help pass his agenda for Missouri, Representative Tricia Burns never answers the call. Tricia Burns has missed 370 votes. Burns is bucking President Trump's priorities. Burns did not vote to stop DEI initiatives, prevent China from owning Missouri land, defund Planned Parenthood, and Burns did not vote to ban boys from girls' sports. Tricia Burns not showing up for Missouri and President Trump. Instead, Tricia Burns spends her time pulling pranks on the suicide prevention hotline. Yes, you heard that right. Tricia Burns lied to the police and staged a fake suicide emergency. She sent a series of messages to the hotline and said she, quote, had a gun to her head, end quote. When she got caught, she said there'd be no consequences because she's a politician. By August 4th, vote to show Tricia Burns that there are consequences to being bad at your job.
Let's Go Brandon PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Chris Foss, Treasurer.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a two-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
I'm Bill Eigel. I'm a no on data centers. Last year, when a new hyperscale data center was up for a vote in St. Charles City, I'm the only candidate for county executive who stood with you in opposition. Meanwhile, Steve EHLMANN was writing op-eds in support of data centers. In fact, he spent $400,000 of your taxpayer money to identify 6 locations just for data centers in St. Charles County. I'm Bill Eigel, and if you don't want data centers in our county, then I'm asking for your vote on August 4th.
Paid for by Eigel from Missouri. Lisa Borchers, Treasurer.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli, and my favorite sandwich from Capriati's is the Wagyu beef French dip. I love Capriati's, and you will too. Visit Capriati's now at 2 locations, on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270.
Can you believe politicians nearly doubled state spending since 2019? Yeah, that's twice the rate of inflation.
What do we get for all that extra spending? Nothing.
Yeah, and get this, over 200 loopholes are buried in our tax code, written by lobbyists for wealthy corporations.
Our tax code is rigged against us.
We get taxed on our paycheck, our home, everything we buy.
I guess somebody's got to pay for all that spending.
That's why we need Amendment 5. It puts politicians on a leash.
Forces them to cut taxes and control spending, whether they like it or not.
Amendment 5 closes the loopholes, eliminates income taxes, cuts property taxes, and gives $3,000 a year to average working families.
We decide, not the politicians.
Amendment 5 is the biggest tax cut in Missouri history.
I'm voting yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC. Mark Ellinger, Treasurer.
News, analysis.
I'm glad you're talking about this.
Opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it, too, because I know I am.
News Talk STL.
Well, Elton John there. It's kind of funny. Ashlyn filling in for Jerome today. So us children of the 80s, born in the 70s, reared in the 80s, we discovered Elton John with his pop music stuff from the 80s. And then we went back and found out, oh, he was actually a rock singer in the 70s. And that's when we discovered all of the classic older stuff. Elton John had huge decade there, obviously. All right, coming up on 8:22 right now. Last weekend, excuse me, before Election Day. Sorry, got a little bit of my snack down my windpipe there. We're going to get to that here in a minute because I've got a question for you. At some point, do we need to step back from the politics? Every once in a while, I'll kind of float this idea because we take the campaigns, we take the elections very personally, and we should. Are there times we take it too personally and we lose that balance? And so I'm just going to kind of float that idea. 8:22. You know, one thing that I like to do on Fridays throughout the week, I just grab the sound bites, some of the big things that happen in the news, and kind of keep a running tab of what the news sounded like here on News Talk STL, because it's kind of fun just to kind of look back over the past several days and say, oh, yeah, that was happening, and we've covered a lot of ground this week. Let's do that one more time here. Here is what the news sounded like throughout this past week here on News Talk STL.
Stand up to Donald Trump and ICE when they attack our workers, terrorize our neighbors, and threaten the freedoms generations of us fought to secure.
Raise your hand if you're voting yes on Amendment 5.
Oh, is there I'm neutral.
You're a voter. None of you are voting yes on Amendment 5.
I don't understand where they're going to cut the taxes and put other taxes yet.
As you alluded to, tariffs are taxes. Tariffs are taxes on the American people.
One of the first tasks Secretary Marco Rubio says has been assigned to him by President Trump is eliminating all U.S. aid dollars going to any foreign organization or group that promotes abortion.
He was extremely hawkish. I will tell you, he never saw a war that he didn't like.
St. Louis bread company is shipping out to Boston. The company, now better known as Panera, is planning a major move away from the gateway city.
Who the do you think you were for doing that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
You did all kinds of terrible things. It's because during the pandemic you got rich, didn't you? You got rich while people were dying, hundreds of thousands of Americans, over 1 million in the end.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
If you see Prop C is designed to give the St. Louis County Council the ability to be able to give raises to their budget. I've never seen anything so blatant, so blatantly political, and such a blatant waste of taxpayers' money at a time when the council is saying we're broke.
Under the advice of my attorneys, I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution to refrain from answering your questions.
Yeah, remember that I could have used that a version of that sound clip from Fauci 108 other times out of the 111 times that he did it. All right. Okay, so obviously Election Day coming up. And here's the thing. This is the time when it's most important for the campaigns to reach out to the voters and make sure that you're showing up to the polls if you haven't already, if you haven't voted early already. But is this also the time, I think, one, that a lot of voters get fatigue? I mean, it's the constant mailers in a lot of areas, depending on where you live. It could be constant door knockers. It's the constant social media posts that you see everywhere. And on one hand, political junkies and news junkies, we're all about it because we've got a line of demarcation, election day. Somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to lose. It's going to be their tribe or it's going to be our tribe. And then we're going to start the next cycle. In this case, it'll be the general election and the midterms. But I always see things kind of degenerate as you get close to Election Day at times as well. There's a balance. There's a line somewhere between investing personally in the campaigns and the elections, because these are the people who are going to be making decisions on our behalf, and these are going to be the people who are deciding how much government controls us, taxes us, the way it spends our money. Unfortunately, government sets a lot of tones for culture instead of the other way around. And we should be invested. But I also increasingly see people who get so invested and so wrapped up into it that government takes over their life, whether they realize it or not. Even some people who are dedicated to free markets and dedicated to limited government and dedicated to individual freedom end up ironically being kind of controlled by the political process because they can't separate it out from other parts of their lives. That's not good. Don't do that sort of thing. And by the way, 314-912-1019 if you got any thoughts on this, because I care deeply, obviously, who wins and loses. And, I'm looking at the campaigns that are coming up, and I've got my guesses as to who's going to win or lose. And I think some of the people and some of the issues that I like are going to win. And there's a couple things I don't know that the right outcome is going to happen. I think voters may go the wrong way on a couple things. Am I going to let that ruin my life for a day or a week or a month or a year? No. But I've also been around long enough to know that sometimes voters get it wrong and we have a bad outcome and there are bad consequences for it. But then there's always, in our system that we have here, our system that's a republic using a democratic process, that we get to take another swing at it in November. We get to take another swing at it at the local level in April. We get to take another swing at it in 2028. We get to do it all over again. Even bad election outcomes are not the end of the world, and we shouldn't be looking at it like that. So we should be taking things really seriously and personally. I would argue that we should do that even more so at the local level, but we should also remember that government is supposed to be the servant, not the master. And the fact that people look at elections in some cases as life and death and use hyperbolic language, because that's really how it feels, and it does feel like that sometimes. In the end, the much bigger picture here is that we get this wrapped up in it and it ruins people's lives. And I've seen people lose relationships with family and friends over politics because we have allowed government to become so powerful and so intrusive in our lives that the stakes are much higher than they should be under our constitutional process. We've let government run amok. And we kept electing people who did that and then say, well, vote for me so that I can make sure that the government runs amok on somebody else and not on you. Instead of agreeing that, you know what, government has a limited number of things it's supposed to do. Everything else it should butt out of. And that way we can go back to focusing on the things that matter, our families, our communities, our kids' Little League games, what's happening at the school, maybe your church, if that's where your social circles are, all that kind of stuff. And then check in on the hired help of government from time to time, but the hired help is out of control. And that's why we have to keep much more effort and an eye on it. But the reason we have to do that is because government at basically every level has assumed authority where it should not. And so until we start changing directions, I'm talking to both parties. I'm talking elephants, jackasses. I'm talking to both of you. Donkeys, mules in Missouri. Okay. Until both parties say, hey, it's time to rein in and get government out of things, it's never going to happen. And the reality is that we're going to need some people to dedicate their entire lives to partisan politics, even though I hate that. But I'm not doing it. I'm going to cover the news and have those conversations going and try to make things better. But one of the ways to do that is to remind you it's okay to take a breather and step away from politics from time to time. It's okay to have fun. It's okay to go get a cup of coffee or a beer or a lunch with somebody who disagrees with you. Doesn't mean they're bad people. Maybe there are some issues they end up on the wrong side of because of character issues. There are some issues that are that bad, but many of them are just not. And that's where we are right now. Got some thoughts on it? Let me know. This is 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
Weakening showers and thunderstorms could have an impact in spots this morning before fading midday into the afternoon. But another round of storms likely late this afternoon into this evening, and some of those storms could be strong with gusty winds, maybe even an isolated tornado. Turning steamy this afternoon, a high of 84. Storms make way for scattered showers overnight, down to 69 for the low. Unseasonably cool and mostly cloudy Saturday with scattered showers from time to time. The high tomorrow only 76. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary with Emily Campagno. Next.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Here's Emily Campagno.
For a party that flies planes and launches campaigns based on no kings, it's shocking to me that they worshiped this one man and based on his unilateral recommendations, threw in the towel for everything, followed him blindly. And now that's the reason that they can't bear to acknowledge that behind that curtain the whole time was a little tiny man pretending to be Oz. If the science had been correct, if his diary said, yes, all of my research shows that everything I've been saying on air is true, I stand behind it, then it would just be a shame. But now it is a sham. Now it is downright fraud and negligence and corruption and concealment of government records and obstruction of justice and so much more.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcasts.com.
Steve EHLMANN leads. EHLMANN enacted a data center moratorium. He doubled our parkland, built new roads, prioritized safe schools and streets, eliminated the county's real property tax. EHLMANN for St. Charles County. Bill Eigel misleads. Eigel talks but didn't pay his property taxes, but voted to give tax credits to the company behind the St. Charles data center, and was rebuked by Trump's lawyer for scamming donors.
Paid for by the committee to elect Steve EHLMANN, Michael Summer Jr., Treasurer.
Tired of settling for generic fishing gear? Say hello to Bullseye Bait and Tackle, O'Fallon's one-stop shop for serious anglers. Live bait, premium tackle, rods, reels, and an unbeatable selection of lures from top brands like Megabass, Zoom, and Berkley. Whether you're after bass, catfish, crappie, or bluegill, they've got the gear to help you land the big one. Plus, their expert team, led by Mark and Liz, provides rod and reel repair services. Bullseye Bait and Tackle, 266 Fort Zumwalt Square, or at bullseyebaitandtackle.net.
Bill, you're an old politician.
Yup, sure am.
So you know the old timers warned that someone trying to sell you a pig in a poke was a con man.
Well, sure.
Well, no offense, Tom, but your Politicians Amendment 5 is a pig in a poke, allowing politicians to raise our taxes without a vote of the people. And the Politicians Amendment 4 takes away our power to do anything about it. Well, let's look at what's really inside Ford 5.
Oh, don't do that.
5 hits hardest seniors and those struggling financially with new taxes on services like doctor visits, in-home care, and rent. Sales taxes could more than triple. For up to 80% of Missourians, it's a tax hike. And Amendment 4 ends majority rule, allowing a minority of the most liberal statewide voters in one district to effectively end our power to stop corruption and out-of-control spending and taxing.
Slick plan, huh?
No, Tom. 4 and 5 are schemes that hurt citizens and transfer our power and our money to politicians and lobbyists. That's why I'm voting no on the Politicians Amendments 4 and 5.
Paid for by Missourians for fair taxation.
You talk about race relations.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
And I'm sick and tired of it.
101.9 and 94.1.
I find it to be a conversation starter.
News Talk STL.
Oh no, let's go crazy. Let's get nuts.
I don't know. Maybe the single like most talented musician of the 80s era, Prince. Maybe. I've read that he could play something like 24 instruments. Like it was crazy. The guy's like one of those savants. Just unreal sort of talents. Just tragically lost. I remember when I was on the air. I was actually on the air when Prince died. And I was not on a music station. I was doing talk radio at the time. And I don't remember what year he died. Could Ashlyn filling in for Joan? Would you mind looking up real quick? When, because I forgot. I want to say it's been over 10, 12 years ago, something like that. Ashlyn's going to look that up. And by the way, thanks for filling in, Ashlyn. Just kick butt job there. Good job.
Says his date of death is April 21st, 2016.
16. So 10 years ago. Man. 10 years ago. And even though I was on doing conservative talk radio at the time, that was basically the rest of my show that day. That was, because it's like one of those things where you don't think of how much of their art and how much of their product you liked and enjoyed until they're gone.
Yeah, that was Michael Jackson.
For a lot of people, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so that was big, and then you find out how apparently he's got hundreds of songs that were never released. He would just write and record these songs and then just pick out the absolute best ones. And of course he was a very colorful character for the MTV era as well. Yeah, Prince, that's a good choice there on this Flashback Friday. All right, 8:37 right now. The Anthony Fauci of St. Louis is back. I don't get surprised by a lot of news so much anymore, but this one kind of surprised me just because it seems like a massive error in judgment by Kara Spencer. And Faisal Khan, of course, the former health department director for St. Louis County, just did a horrible job, essentially pressured and ran out of town because of his dictatorial approach to COVID. Sam Page sang his praises. I looked up the couple of the articles from when Faisal Khan left and resigned and went out to Seattle. And, of course, Sam Page saying things like he made tough decisions under heavy criticism and he used science-based approach. No, he didn't, because we now know that all of that was wrong. And he was just following basically the talking points and the marching orders of Anthony Fauci and Francis Collins and Deborah Birx. And Francis Collins has admitted since then that they just made up stuff and there wasn't any science behind it. But what Faisal Khan believes in, as he has shown through the course of his career, is that he thinks government has the right to step in, and unelected government, bureaucratic government, has the right to just step in and take over parts of your life, which is what we saw in the city, which is under Tashari Jones, which is what we saw in the county under the tutelage of Sam Page and Faisal Khan. It's what we saw in the state of Illinois with J.B. Pritzker. And then you get some places like, for instance, St. Charles County that said, yeah, we're not going to do that. They dipped their toe into some of these restrictions and they backed down and went, no, we're going to let people make their own decisions. Their numbers weren't any different than anybody else's. Maybe a little bit better. And so Faisal Khan was the point person for a tremendous amount of personal and economic destruction in St. Louis County. And he was unapologetic about it, and he was condescending, and he was arrogant to the point of even, as we know now, infamously flipping off the people who were protesting and disagreeing with him while trying to play victim. Here's my personal story. I mean, it's kind of, I kind of did a lot of media because when I was in the hospital with COVID back in the early days of it, when it was the novel virus, let me tell you what the rest of the story was. After I was sick and out of the hospital and I was recovering, I would get a phone call every day from probably some intern at the health department. And there was a different number every day, probably somebody's cell phone that they were calling from because they were all working from home at the time. And they wanted to know my temperature. They wanted to know symptoms. They wanted to know all this stuff, which, you know what? At the time, I cooperated for several days. I'm like, okay, I can do that. We didn't know what was going on with it. Okay. They're trying to track it. I wanted to be helpful and but then things changed quickly. I got this thing in the mail from the county health department under Faisal Khan's tenure. And it was basically a several page list of orders and the contract, for lack of a better term, that said all the things that I'm not allowed to do anymore until I get permission from the health department. And then at the bottom was a place for me to sign and return it, and they ordered me to sign and return it. And it was a contract giving up my freedom and legal rights under the auspices of a health emergency, which of course I did not sign. Hell no, I'm not doing that. I ripped it up and threw it in the trash. Should have kept it as evidence of how dictatorial and tyrannical their mindset is. But then when the phone calls would come shortly after I got that thing in the mail, well, the tone changed. They would ask the temperature and any symptoms, and they say, okay, now just remember, you're not allowed to do this. I went, whoa. You don't have that authority. Well, we're under a health emergency. Here are the rules. I'm like, screw you. No. You just crossed the line. And I'm telling some probably college kid, no. And I said, I'm done. Don't call again. Well, we have to try. I'm going to hang up on you. I'm done cooperating. I am done if this is how you're going to take it. And that's what I did. And I just hung up on him. And I even knew when the calls came in that that's what it was, but I made it a point to answer. And when they said, we're checking in, I would hang up on them. Make sure that they understood. And then I went on there saying, they don't have the legal authority to take over and control my life and tell me I can live at their permission and where I can go and where I can't, because at one point I had COVID. But they understood that if I signed that, and probably a lot of people stupidly signed that thing, and if I signed it, they were going to make a claim that I was violating some kind of agreement. So no, I'm not going to do that. And I never did it. And it was absolutely indicative of the way Faisal Khan approaches so-called public health. There's a reason to this day so many people do not trust government health officials, government health bureaucrats, so-called experts. And it's because of people like Anthony Fauci, and it's people like Faisal Khan. It is because of people like Deborah Birx, and because of people like Sam Page, and because of people like Tashara Jones, and because of people like J.B. Pritzker. And it was that mindset that says, in the end, government decides how you live and how you're not allowed to live, that when there's an emergency, that is the time that it's ripe for government to take the most control. And that's exactly what they did. And Faisal Khan was the point person for most of that, and much of that in the area. And so what's happened now is that he leaves St. Louis County in disgrace, and now the city has hired him to be their health department director starting August 3rd. I don't get this hire. I don't get it. Now, is this going to really change the politics of St. Louis City? No, I don't think so. I think Susie made a strong point that most people just aren't going to care in the city. It's deep blue enough, they just don't care. And attracting candidates for high-level positions in the city of St. Louis probably isn't that easy to do right now because the city is in such disarray. But I'm wondering what Mayor Kara Spencer was thinking with this. This is an unforced risk. He's got a history of saying government will control under penalty of law, even if he doesn't have the power of the law. And that was evidenced by the courts striking down a number of the things that he and Sam Page implemented. And then after they would strike some of them down, they went and re-implemented them and reissued them, even after the court said no, which put the people of St. Louis County in a horrible position. The businesses scared to death because they were being threatened by the health department. They were being threatened by Sam Page, even though there was a court ruling that said what they're doing is not legal and we struck it down. They got another one saying, we're going to still come after you. We don't care what the court says. And this is how Faisal Khan looks at people and looks at the role of government. He should never be anywhere near the levers of power. He is he's got the track record of being one of the worst kinds of people you could possibly put into that role. Somebody who doesn't have to face voters, doesn't have to explain himself, is not accountable to any voter, but still wants to assume authoritarian power, and he's shown that he will use it in brutal ways. Hundreds of businesses went out of business in St. Louis County. St. Louis County lost population and dropped under 1 million people in population, in large part because of how Sam Page, and to some degree the majority of the county council, and in large part Faisal Khan and the health department, treated their businesses, treated their citizens, treated their churches. And once people stopped rolling over for that, they started moving to St. Charles County and Jefferson County and Warren County. They started saying, this is bad for business. I can't raise a family here. And you're raising taxes anyway. Faisal Khan was part of the economic destruction because he was part of the destruction, temporary as it was, of personal freedom. And so he ended up getting sort of politically beaten back on that and decided he couldn't take it and had to leave in disgrace. So he arrives back in disgrace, and this was a really bad move by the city of St. Louis to bring somebody like him on board.
Acting confused when you're close to me. If I tend to look dazed, I read it someplace. I've got cause to be. There's a name for it. There's a phrase that fits. But whatever the reason, you do it for me. Oh, what's love got to do? It's got to do with it. What's love but a second-hand emotion?
Identity theft can cost more than you think. Drained investment accounts, stolen tax returns, lost wages, expenses for lawyers. It's a lot. That's why LifeLock is backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which covers up to $1 million for stolen funds, fees, and experts and lawyers, and out-of-pocket expenses. Don't face the burden of identity theft alone. Protect your future and finances with LifeLock. Join now. Save up to 30% off your first year with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. 1-800-LifeLock, promo code BECK. LifeLock.com. Terms to apply.
Point.
Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down.
Ace.
You're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
State Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, Sunday nights at 7 on News Talk STL. Hear all the behind-the-scenes stories about what the State Freedom Caucus is doing across the country, directly from the legislators and the people that are doing it. State Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, this Sunday night at 7 with your host, Tim Jones. State Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, now Sunday nights at 7 on News Talk STL. Tuesday night.
Missouri decides 2026.
All the results and reactions from the Missouri State Primary.
You have to get out and vote.
From the voices you know and trust in St. Louis for election night coverage.
Amendment 4.
Amendment 5.
County executives.
Coverage begins Tuesday night at 7 on St. Louis's conservative voice.
Right here.
News Talk STL. Brought to you by Fast Signs in Bridgeton, 21 Recycling in House Springs, Gemini Wealth Group, and Freddy's Market.
Summer is here at Daniel's Farm and Greenhouses on Juggerman in St. Peters. Discover our breathtaking 55,000 square feet of greenhouses featuring 8,000 hanging baskets, hundreds of perennials, and 100,000 pots of colorful annuals. From vegetable plants to premium grass seed, mulch to herbs, our knowledgeable staff is ready to answer all your questions. Start spring off right with pansies, potted tulips, and everything your garden craves. Daniel's Farm and Greenhouses. Visit us today on Juggerman or online at danielsfarmandgreenhouses.com.
How you doing when it's top, top? Top, 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 top. How you doing when it's top, top? Top, 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 top. How you doing when it's top, top? If every syllable I see is complete, then I'm a fool and you get
Ashlyn, just want to let you know that I'm starting to question whether or not my baseball game is going to get played tonight in Eureka. Did you see what's happening outside? There's a lot of rain.
I'd give it probably a 75% chance of not happening.
That it's not happening. I think, yeah, because there's another round of this coming through here. I'm supposed to have 3 baseball games this weekend. I don't know that that's going to happen. There could be some potentially stronger storms moving through later in the day. I don't think it's going to be anything that major, but there's a chance for a pretty strong outburst. So keep an eye on the weather. Channel 4 has a great weather app. You can get that for free as well. It is 8:50 right now. Let's see here. A new federal program wants to push illegals out of the driver's seats of tractor trailers. So who do they want to replace?
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Lee May Concrete and Block.
Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
All right, and we're going to start in Washington, D.C., where Republicans still reacting to Dr. Anthony Fauci's testimony at that Senate committee hearing in which Anthony Fauci had his little temper tantrum at the front, then took his verbal beating for hours and pled the fifth over 100 times, 111 to be specific here. And those were all questions about the origins of COVID-19, the cover-ups of that, and then the reaction from the government to COVID-19, and then the cover-ups of that, among other things. Now that committee wants to hold him in contempt. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley was on Fox's Jesse Waters Primetime, agreeing with that, saying Fauci is, in his words, the biggest scam artist of COVID and maybe ever.
During COVID, while everybody else was sitting at home or sick, Fauci was getting rich. $1 million that guy got in cash prize money for himself during COVID, using his employees, using the federal government. This guy needs to be held in contempt.
Okay, so a lot of Democrats are trying to spin this, and what they're saying is, that was just politically motivated. By the way, Trump is bad. That's essentially what they were doing. Some Democrats actually still praise Fauci for those policies like mask mandates and vaccine mandates and social distancing, even though one of Fauci's top lieutenants, Francis Collins, has since said, yeah, we made that up. We had to do something. People were demanding something, so we just made it up. They're saying he saved lives. There's no medical evidence of that, but that's what they're arguing still because, you know what? Midterms are coming up. And, of course, remember, Joe Biden issued a preemptive pardon to Fauci near the end of that term. Republicans still say Fauci could and should be prosecuted by the Justice Department, but most likely they cannot prosecute him for anything that's covered during the time frame of that pardon. But could he be pardoned for things that happened before then and after then? Well, that remains to be seen. Illinois residents who no longer qualify for SNAP benefits are going to get cash directly from the taxpayers instead. KMOV's Morgan Harris has the details.
Governor J.B. Pritzker says a one-time payment of $400 will go to each eligible member of a household. It's part of the new program called Families Receiving Emergency Support for Hunger, or FRESH. The $70 million program is part of the governor's 2027 budget. If you are eligible for the extra payment, you will receive a notice in the mail.
Okay, so you were eligible for food stamps or SNAP benefits, which, you know what, there's a lot of people who were, and for whatever reason you're not eligible anymore. Instead of trying to get them back on food stamps, they're just going to give you cash from the taxpayer. Yeah, that's how that's going to work. Okay, Trump administration announcing a new program Thursday to help military veterans become truck drivers. This is a really good idea, actually. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy threatening any trunky company that is still looking to hire illegal aliens. He was on Fox's The Will Cain Show.
We are going to come after any company that wants to hire illegals and drive down wages to get some fraudster in your company. Okay, so veterans can already get an expedited trucking license. The new program will extend their eligibility from 1 year to 2 years. And, of course, this move comes as the administration has cracked down on, and I can't believe I'm going to say these words, tens of thousands of immigrant truck drivers, many of those illegal immigrant truck drivers. And you're specifically looking at some states like California, New Mexico, obviously Minnesota, where they were handing out CDL, commercial driver's licenses, to not only those who are not citizens, because you can be a legal resident and still qualify for a lot of that, but in the country illegally. At one point, they found driver's licenses that literally had the words "no name given" on the driver's license. And illegal alien truck drivers have been responsible for numerous deaths around the country. And right here in the metro area, right here in the News Talk STL area, there was one who was driving the wrong way on 61 in Lincoln County a few months back and had to be caught, and the State Highway Patrol took their license right on the spot, figuring out that they could not communicate in English, they could not read this road signs, and made the trucking company come get somebody else. So this is something that's hitting closer to home than what a lot of people realize. Okay, you remember back in 2024, there was that tragic situation of a school shooting at Appalachia High School in Georgia. Well, Colin Gray, the man who was convicted of second-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter for giving his son the gun that was used to kill 2 students and 2 teachers at that high school, was sentenced on Thursday. He was given 15 years in prison. Georgia Judge Nicholas Prim explains how he came to that sentence.
The loss here is profound, but I still have to distinguish your acts from the malignant heart in the acts that Colt Gray committed upon the Appalachian School.
Gray's defense had asked a judge for 10 years in prison with 10 years of probation. Prosecutors wanted 80 years in prison. Gray's son, Colt, was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole after pleading guilty to murder and other charges. The dad, knowing his son had mental health issues, gave his son the gun, bought him a gun, and gave it to him as a minor. That's what happened there. All right. Hunters and conservationists, this may interest you. The U.S. Department of Fish and Wildlife is asking for public comment on the Prairie Pothole Region wetlands. And if you're in the know, you're going, hey, Mike, that's north of us. What's going on with that? Yeah, our friends at Whistle Pig Outdoors gave me the heads up on this. Well, the region, like I said, extends into Canada, and the region is actually technically just a little north of here. It's also where a large percentage of waterfowl breed and hatch their eggs, and that's the waterfowl that hunters around here hunt every year. Some worry that the government's going to loosen regulations and protections for the natural habitats in the area, so you can check out the Fish and Wildlife Department website for more information. So thanks to Jason over at Whistlepig for giving me the heads up on that news story. Extra inning game, but this time the Cardinals lose. Final score at Busch Stadium yesterday was Cubs 4, Redbirds 2. Chicago won 3 of those 4 games of that series. Cardinals are out on the road starting a road trip tonight. They're going to be in Toronto to play the Blue Jays. First pitch, 6:07.
Hey, Columbo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
News Talk STL is celebrating our 5th birthday. And we're giving away a limited edition News Talk STL America 250 t-shirts. It's exclusive, it's collectible, and it could be yours. Just head to newstalkstl.com to register.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, News Talk.
Been listening since day one. Happy birthday to my talk station.
5 years, happy birthday.
News Talk STL.
News Talk STL. Happy birthday to us, and good luck to you.
Whatever the season, you always have a great reason to reach out to Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com for all your tree care needs and so much more. Tim Jones here to remind you, Hanson's is your one-stop shop for expert insured tree care, amazing organic mulch, green resource recycling, land clearing, and so much more. Hanson services the entire St. Louis metro, and they also provide their full array of services in and around the Lake of the Ozarks. From tree care to storm cleanup to awesome mulch and more, check out Hanson's at hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
Hey guys, don't miss Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. where we talk about so many areas, including AI, law, and health. We have some fantastic guests on my show. Don't forget, Sunday evenings at 8 p.m., Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser.
Stand and fight with Nick Schroer.
Hey, it's Nick Schroer. To preserve this nation, to preserve the